life.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Jata. Sorry for the bit of break in between. We're back with season 2, episode 2. Joining us today is, as always, Fardin Kibria and Samin Zeri for once. Samin, welcome to Jata once again.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Finally decided to
Right.
make an appearance on the show.
Got some time, so why not?
Okay, the IPL. Let's talk about that, and then we're going to move into Pakistan versus New Zealand. Guys, is this cricket? What are we watching right now?
Honestly, this is probably the worst season of IPL I have seen in what now? It's 16 years, 17 years. Yeah, it's gone to a whole different level of being monotonous cricket this year. We saw shades of it last year, you could say, or even in the last couple of seasons. But this year, what now we have had 14 games in a row, 15 games in a row, go over 200. You're seeing scores of 260 plus getting chased. Um, Boundaries have gotten exponentially shorter. Um, they keep it bigger in some pockets where barely the ball goes in those pockets, and that pretty much looks like an intentional play on making the viewer think that the boundary is still big when it really isn't, because
I think,
your high traffic areas are
yeah. Adding on
always
to
short.
that, yeah,
Yeah.
adding on to that, I would just say that it's just the way that they make money. It's the opportunity where, if they want to make money, they have to, keep the boundary short and keep, the high scoring games alive. And I would say it's cricket in the form of a video game. We are reliving, I think, probably EA Cricket 7 yet again with this form of cricket, like in the form of IPL. So it's crazy how, like, in almost every other matches, 250 is like the par score, and it is getting chased recently, like, by some of the teams. And at times you gotta feel sad for the bowler, especially Mustafi is getting smacked for 55. It is no longer sad for me because I see, better bowlers, probably the highest wicket taker in last season, Mohit Sharma, getting smacked for 73 in his 4 overs. So that's kind of crazy as well. So you can't just blame the bowlers, as Fardin Kibria said. It's more about the boundaries and how short it is. And with the support of the pitch, it only gets easier for the batters to smack some of the big shots, right? So sad, but then again, entertainment is the way to, earn money for the board and all the stakeholders involved. So that's how it is.
Yeah, I think in the name of entertainment, they've just taken it too far now, right? Because once you start having these games where bowlers are essentially taken out of the game completely, I made a post on this that you know we've always seen IPL be the most competitive league because of the challenges it provided for the batter and the bowler. You know, you saw bowlers come out on top. You saw some of these guys really develop as into international bowlers through the IPL. But now there is not an opportunity to do that because with short boundaries, if you have third man fine leg up, you get an edge on it. It goes for four. Sometimes it's going for six with the pace that people are bowling nowadays. You don't even need to hit a full shot. You just need to time the ball. Sometimes you don't even need to time it with the edges of the bat the way it is now, right? So there are a lot of things to look at. Essentially, the wides. Umpires are getting a lot more critical about how much people have moved, how what their stance is. I have never in my life. I have played cricket for so many years. I've watched cricket for so many years. That day, some umpire was reasoning that it's not a wide because if the batsman was standing tall at his crease, which batsman in this lifetime have you ever seen stand upright completely on their batting stance? So,
IPL makes its own rules.
yeah, bowlers have nowhere to go, right? Because they bowl a bouncer, which is completely fine, and it's given a wide. because he's standing in a certain way, he hasn't moved, he has done this. What is this? If you want it to be a batsman's game completely, if you want batting to be the main thing on display, put a bowling machine out there and feed them balls, and you'll have more sixes than the 42 or whatever sixes you saw today.
But what
Exactly,
about the
like
fact that they tried to reduce height no balls by getting the batter's proper measurement, and on the other hand, they are also allowing two up above the
See,
shoulder
see,
every
see.
over?
At the start of the tournament, everyone thought that batters who are weaker against short balls would get exposed because of the two bouncer rule, right? But what has happened? If I think of me as a batter, right? If I'm as a batter, first stage of the tournament, I am worried about the two bouncers if I'm weak against bouncers, right? I'm worried because that's two one third of the over I have to worry about kinda against my weakness. As soon as I start warming up into the season, I can start thinking those that one third of the over that I am weaker against, all I really need to do is get an edge on it. Something, just something on it, and it'll go for four. You'll get for six.
And even the pitches have nothing for
Nothing.
actual
Actual
pace bowlers.
bounce.
You
Yeah.
can't get proper bounce out of them.
No, like 90% of the short balls that they're bowling is just sitting up chest high and going, right? When a batter can move across his crease so much and still pull it for a six, that tells you it's not going past the ear, right? Because if it was going past the ear, you would have guys like what happened when Geoff Archer was bowling bouncers to Steve Smith and Marnus Labuschagne and they were on the floor. That's the reality of bowling a bouncer is when you get assistance from the pitch, it skids on way quicker than what you think it's gonna come at you at, right? So yes, they have tried helping the bowlers with the wides and stuff where the batter moves. They try to give a bit of leniency if the height, but end of the day, how many times are you really bowling that? The wide Yorker line when you're bowling the wide Yorker line. I think bowlers as a whole, and you guys might agree, I think bowlers have, as a whole, have to start bowling Yorkers in all stages now. And yes, if you miss, it goes for a six. But I think forget about swinging the ball.
you're getting hit for six anyways.
Anyways, exactly. Forget about swinging the ball because there is no point swinging the ball in the IPL. It's not. Nothing's gonna happen. Prab Simran stood on one leg and hit an in swinger for six today. Because the way the white ball is and the way these grounds are shaped up, they know they just like in the power play, you just need to get something on it. And Chamira was bowling 149. Imagine Chamira bowling 149 in an international cricket match. You would not see this. I can guarantee you that. But because of the flexibility, luxury, whatever, etc., that they play with at the IPL, bowl
Another factor that
Yorkers.
we haven't spoken about yet is the impact sub rule. And
Oh, freaking
it's
hate
one
that shit.
thing that the impact sub rule was supposed to bring more competitive entertainment, but
Uh,
it's not bringing competitive entertainment necessarily when it's just helping the batting side. It's
I think
bringing nothing for the bowlers who are getting subbed in.
like I saw a post from some of I think it was a meme page or I don't know what, but they were basically posting about how with the impact sub rule they can have all 11 players as batters. They no longer need a bowler. Like make sure that the batters bowl and the batters bat. That's how you
hmm,
design the game. I
hmm.
think that's probably where IPL is heading, even if in a funny manner. But then again, this is going crazy because you gotta feel sad for the bowlers because in previous years as well, you would have seen some of the pacers coming in, like showing up, Arshdeep Singh or whoever, like showing up for India and actually doing well both internationally and in IPL,
Indian.
and
Yeah.
they would have been grown through IPL. But nowadays, you only see batters. You see someone like Shashank Singh coming up, Ashutosh Sharma coming up, and all those are bowlers. What about pacers like Harshit Rana, who actually has some prodigy or some talent and can actually do something great when he comes to international cricket? But now he plays an IPL match, he gets smashed for 61 runs in his 44 overs. Where does that lead him towards? Like his confidence is all gone. He's still a young pieces, but for him to do something great in international cricket, he needs to perform in IPL as well. But thanks to these pitches, thanks to how the game is designed, these young players are going nowhere. You are not seeing any, like, you only talk about batters like Ashutosh Sharma or Prabhu Simran or whoever, but you don't talk about pacers nowadays. You don't talk about the spinners. So cricket
Yeah,
is not about only about batters. You have to,
yeah.
bring bowlers at one point. But IPL, they are not doing something in that case, in that regard. So I think that is somewhat sad and disappointing from
Look at
my end.
RCB. They don't have any bowling, no bowling, and they beat
Exactly,
SRH
exactly. Like
on
you
the
don't
sheer volume of the runs they scored in the first innings.
exactly.
I mean, say right, like that's it.
You talk about SRH, you talk about their batters. You talk about RCB, you talk about their batters as well. Most of the teams, you only talk about their batters. Only for CSK, for some point, like you can talk about Pathirana or maybe Mustafiz or Tushar Deshpande. I think probably it is the only team where you can talk a slightly bit about the bowlers as well. But for most of the teams, it is only their batters who are winning them the game. Especially for
Hmm.
some team like SRH, if you go on scoring around 287 in 20 overs, you don't have to rely on your bowlers. Even if your bowlers, ball shit, you're still gonna, win the match somehow. The opposition team, they're gonna max score like around 260 like RCB did. But then again, 280, 320 over game, it is really difficult to chase our opponents, right? So I don't know where it is heading, right?
See, this is the funny thing. Like, if you actually see what a lot of KKR fans are talking about, they don't want necessarily to see a 260 score, especially if it results in them losing like they did today. They'd rather KKR score 150 and defend that on a raggedy, typical Eden Gardens pitch, which they're not getting. They're not getting that sort of a pitch. And those are the conditions in which KKR played and performed both in 2012 and in 2014. And that is exactly how they won the two seasons. Even in 2021, it was the Sharjah pitches where they pretty much just released Shakib Narayan and Varun Chakravarti and asked them to do
Chakravarti.
whatever they want to do.
Like
Hmm.
I was
Go
actually
ahead.
watching one of the videos from 2012 or 13. Shaki was bowling to, I think, Ajinkya Rahane. He was
Then it would be
actually
2012
getting,
because
yeah,
Shakib
yeah,
didn't play in 2013.
sorry, 2012, the time like KKR won. Like he was actually creeping the ball. Ajinkya Rahane was going to his front foot but still missing. Bisla was a wicket keeper. He was stumping. Like that was the level of cricket we had back then. And the score was not like 140, 130. It was actually 180, 190 with some sort of it helped the bowlers as well at the same time. So the game was balanced from both ends. Everyone was getting favors, right? So that's the level of cricket, that's the level of enjoyment fans would have wanted till now, right? But that is not happening with IPL nowadays, right? That is very disappointing.
Is it also like, again, just probably to play devil's advocate, probably to find out some positive out of this? Fardin, is there any way that we can applaud the batsmanship that we're seeing right now, especially from the younger uncapped players?
I mean, this is the difference between the IPL and international cricket, right? When people go to international cricket, you're worried about your spot. You want to play international cricket longer, and because of all the trials, all the sacrifices, everything you've gone to get to international cricket, you want to make it more longer period. Like people want to be there longer than they want to be, just remembered for their IPL heroics. So players become more in their shell, kind of, where they're not expressing themselves. Through the IPL, what you can see is what happens when good players play their natural game. Abhishek Sharma, I think, biggest example you can have. Brian Lara at the start of the season said this is going to be a big season for Abhishek Sharma because he's come into this IPL essentially with a lot of runs in domestic cricket. He had a lot of chats with Lara about basically playing that natural game, and they kind of freed him up by bringing in Travis Head and saying, "Do your thing. Travis is there. You guys have to kind of just
Gel.
get us off the, yeah, like gel together and just get us off the mark quickly, right? And like it's exceptional the kind of batters that are like, you can say that, it's true, the pitches are very cement wicket type, batter friendly, etc., etc. Bad balls, you still have to put them away. End of the day, you still need to middle that ball, right? So the way, especially Shashank Singh, the circumstances under which he was drafted, it's not easy to come into a tournament knowing you're kind of unwanted, and then to come in and perform the way he has. Ashutosh Sharma, Chandu Pandit, one of the biggest, questionable characters, like you can say, dropping him, telling him he's not good enough for Ranji Trophy or domestic cricket, etc., etc., comes in and pretty much in their reckoning for international cricket now. Um, Shivam Dubey resurrecting his career. Unfortunately, because of this impact player rule, not bowling as much as he would have liked. Prab Simran rising up again. Um, so there are a lot of younger batters on
Riyan
display.
Parag.
Rian Parag, exceptional season again
It feels
this
weird
year.
to call Riyan Parag young now because of all the
I know.
investment that's gone
But
onto
I
him.
think I think you have to see, like, I think Rajasthan Royals have made one of the best investments of their franchise career. Like, we ridiculed it, right? First one to admit it. Everyone, we were very questionable about why are you investing so much on someone who has failed for you season after season. He's essentially become that person in the middle where he was just very egoistic, very out there kind of a person trying to fit in, or that Indian air, cricketer era that they had in the middle where it was all tattoo boys and fashionable and being out there. And I think he tried to feed into that lifestyle and kind of be more out there kind of a guy who would get noticed. But then he got noticed for the wrong things where he wasn't scoring runs, but then he's like taking a regulation catch and telling people to shut up and etc., etc. Now he's come back, he looks a lot more humble, scoring runs, delivering whatever he did for Assam, basically single-handedly carried them in domestic cricket. Now doing that for RR, and Jaiswal's back into form. When Hardik Pandya says India could, create two international sides, they could
Three.
in some days, or three, sorry, they could some days, and some days it will work, some days it will not work, because unfortunately, a lot of these guys, when they get picked for international cricket, they will not play with this luxury or with this freedom, because, like Robin Uthappa said on one of his recent podcasts, it's a very insecure sport. It's a very competitive sport, and guys do not want to give up their position.
Talking about insecurity, like even for India, it's such a big headache. You have so many batting options with Yashasvi coming to form. Like, even in the top
Some people
order,
are
there's
saying Shubman
competition.
Gill should get dropped. Like,
Exactly. Like you
I
have
won't actually be super surprised if that happens, to be
I know,
honest.
you
but
have competition in the top order, you have competition in the middle order, but you're still relying on all those old bowlers, you're relying on all those young, old spinners and pacers. When the bowling comes in question, you talk about Bumrah, you talk about Kuldeep, you talk about Jadeja, you talk about Siraj, all those old bowlers. Like there's no new faces coming in. For batters, like there's so many plenty of options, right? For bowlers, you don't get to talk too much. So that's where I think the problem lies. And as Kibiawai truly like mentioned that, there's some sort of insecurity as well. There's so many competition. Dubey, for instance, if he knows he can't perform like with the bat, he will be replaced by some other pace bowling all-rounder, considering they have so many other options. Even Hardik Pandya is a competition to him, right? So that's where insecurity lies for these players. Even for someone like Riyan Parag, who has been giving his all to come into the national setup. If he knows if he doesn't perform, he will get replaced by someone like Ashutosh or Shashank or anyone else. So that's where the problem lies for them. So yeah.
Rinku Singh's become an afterthought now.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is
I
which,
mean, even
Should also, again, he should also not be an afterthought just because he's proven himself at the international stage. We're
exactly.
saying that the
But
IPL is not the
so-
best
some
testing ground right now.
crazy how.
someone said that he has a curse right now, which is he's so good at finishing games. KKR management has started prioritizing everyone else over him because they're worried that if we send Rinku too early, there will be no one to finish the game for us. Which, which, yeah, you can be good at it, but look at someone like Tim David. Tim David started off purely finisher, no other. But I think what playing for MI in different parts of the world has done to his game is he now can come in the middle order and actually like play an innings rather than just 44 of 18 last 6 overs. That's it. He can actually like build himself an innings, which you know, Marcus Stoinis, count your blessings if you go to the World Cup.
But here's an interesting topic. Joy Bhattacharya said something very controversial and it kind of blew up online, where he said that he is very skeptical about Rohit Sharma being the captain of the T20 side. Of course, Rohit is going to captain in the T20 World Cup. But the reason he's skeptical is because right now, he doesn't see Rohit as an auto choice, even before the IPL, even without taking the IPL into consideration. Rohit's had one century, but he hasn't had too many good knocks in this tournament. Overall, the reason he's skeptical is because before the century he scored against Afghanistan, he had two ducks. And more importantly, he's not been getting runs in T20s for a while. He hasn't had a good T20 World Cup since 2007. So that's a
And he's
valid
unfit.
concern.
And he's unfit.
And he's unfit.
So
That's
you
a
can't
valid
really switch him
concern.
for a impact player if you want.
No, 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 you can't. You can. He has to be on the field the whole time. So,
Exactly.
Samin, coming to you, his take was make someone like Bumrah captain, let's say, because Bumrah is an auto choice. As long as Bumrah is fit, he's going to play. There's no better bowler than him. There could be better openers than Rohit, but there cannot be better bowlers than Bumrah right now. So, what's your take on this?
I mean, he does make sense. Like most of the options, like if you talk about their batting as a whole, top order, middle order, it can be shuffled, right? They can be, changing between players. If Rohit isn't performing, they have another, opener to replace him easily. Like with the amount of options they're generating from IPL, the backup, the bench strength is really, really strong. So in that sense, like they don't have to, think much about having someone like Rohit, like even if he's not performing well. But then again, for Bumrah, like we have, he has been playing cricket for a while now, international cricket for a while now. He's a big name for the international setup. But then again, like he's a like you can say that even for the T20, I said like if he stays fit, he's a permanent, spot. Like he isn't moving from his place because there aren't like a lot of options to replace him. So I think if he stays fit, I don't know much about his leadership skills. It isn't a bad option because for sure, I know he's a confirmed place. He has a confirmed place in the team. But for other options, like for batters, for instance, Kohli isn't captaining, right? So as Kibriya said, Rohit isn't performing that well. In addition, he isn't that fit either. So probably that might be, some a case against him. So probably in that sense, Joy isn't, saying something wrong.
Khalil Ahmed, thoughts, Rakimo, on him this IPL and Harshal Patel? Not
Interesting.
to
Interesting.
digress too far, but I think Khalil's bowled well in patches. It just gets overshadowed because DC's had a very bad tournament. But I think overall he's bowled quite well, more than people would have expected. Actually,
He's been really good with the new ball, good in the power play. But the problem is, again, they're using the way the impact rule works with the bowling is they're using some bowlers as specialists, literally, like either
hmm.
specialist new ball bowler or specialist death bowler, sort of what we
Yeah.
see with Mohit Sharma. Mohit Sharma was kind of forced into bowling the earlier overs against DC, but r- ideally he just bowls at the death, and he does a pretty good job at that. Unlike what happened against DC, similar to what we see with someone like Mukesh. Mukesh comes in and the latter half covering for Khalil sort of, and Khalil just bowls in the first 10 overs. You can literally just bowl Khalil in the first 10 overs and sub him out. You won't feel a difference because he only occasionally comes in to
Hmm.
bowl in
Yeah.
the latter 10 whenever needed, but
Yeah.
that's rare. In fact,
Yeah.
I have seen Ishant bowl more consistently at in the latter half than Khalil. And right now, Ishant is not in contention exactly, but Khalil is. So
Yeah.
that doesn't exactly do him any favors if he's not bowling well in the more crunch moments of the
Hmm.
T20 game. He's
Yeah.
good with the new ball. He's decent whenever he gets his chance in the middle. He needs to do better at the death. All that is fine.
You know who's missing
Arshdeep,
out?
their form will be his form will be something they're worried about. Sorry, Samin, what was it?
You know who's missing out? Mayank Yadav, I think. Is he the guy like from LSG, the pacer? What's his name? Like full name? Yadav,
Yeah, yeah.
Mayank
He's
Mayank
Yadav,
Mayank
right?
Yadav.
Yadav,
And
right?
Mayank
he's
Yadav.
injured, right? So he
Right.
was one of the only bowlers, only pacers, especially local pacers, who was actually creating some sort of impact in those wickets. And that dude got injured. And I think, like with his pace, with at any wicket, he could have done something big, even for his IPL franchise, and at the same time for India. Probably India is missing out on their like thoughts on him and how his journey could have been better, like if injury wasn't a concern.
I think with him, what you see is he's one of those guys that he's hasn't played a lot in domestic cricket. He hasn't played a lot IPL. He's kind of been away from the limelight per se, which means he's not at the NCA a lot. He doesn't have the access to all the coaches. He doesn't have access to all the physiotherapists, etc., etc. So because of the sheer pace he bowls at, like you said, there was an injury coming because for 20, 24 years of his life he didn't know any better, and now he will start to know better. And like you said, he's missed out what 4 games in a row now. They think he's close to coming back. He's looked exceptional. I was really impressed with him in that first 3 games or something that he played. Justin Langer actually name checked him before the start of the tournament, where he said, we don't have Mark Wood or some of these guys, but I think Mayank Yadav, someone who's really impressed us in the nets. Unfortunately, if he doesn't get picked for, it's hard to see India giving someone a debut at the World Cup. They probably won't do that. He might go as like a bowling net bowler, kind of a traveling reserve. That might happen, but I think this is another one of those cases where you have seen when you don't have access to all the things. Similar to what happened to Varun Chakravarti when he first got picked up, he got injured because for 27, 8 years of his life, he didn't know any better. Played 13, 14 IPL games in a row, and obviously it's too much on your body sometimes because you're pushing yourself to get to that next level always.
Talking about Mayank Yadav, it's really sad how Umran Malik faded away. Like, where is this dude? Like, isn't he playing matches or
He plays one
completely
game.
out of
He
the
plays
system?
one game every 5 games, bowls one over, goes for 17, 18 runs. I think it's tough on him because the way this IPL is, and because of the pace he bowls at, and he's not a hit the deck. Like he's a hit the deck in terms of like he will rush you, but once you get comfortable, you can easily pick him up for runs, right? So unfortunately, it's just I think the way the IPL's changed has really hurt his credentials too. Even though, interestingly, he does have a pace bowling contract with IPL. I mean, with BCCI. So he's actually in the reckoning more than some of these other guys. Same as Yash Dayal, who also has a
We were
pace
we were
bowler.
talking about Khalil, but like thoughts on Natarajan. Like, I don't know. Like, I felt
Nattu
like
is back.
he
Nattu
was
is back.
doing good, right? He was
Yeah.
bowling
He's
some
doing
good
good.
Yorkers, and yeah, he's doing good. So,
That
any like possibility of making a comeback, or like
Back
completely
up to
out of it?
Arshdeep Singh.
Maybe.
if
Like, he
India
looks like a good
doesn't
player.
do if India doesn't do what they have done the last two T20 World Cups, where they've basically picked guys on IPL form,
They would
then
pick Natarajan.
they no then they will pick Rataranjan if they pick based on IPL form. If
Okay.
they don't pick based on IPL form and they trust whatever has happened in international cricket till the IPL, then I think the only places that will really get a bit of a scramble is that top order, that top three, because you have to finalize, your three guys and maybe two backups. And I think because of the way and the impact Rian Parag has had, he might come into that conversation. But a lot of these guys will probably just, be a part of the setup that starts playing some of these bilaterals that India don't take as seriously because they make $2.65 billion African year. Bullshit.
But we've had this discussion that the orange cap is completely redundant and useless in the IPL. Is Harshal Patel proving that the purple cap is even more useless?
Wait, is Harshal Patel the highest wicket taker right now?
Currently,
Yes,
yep.
yes, yeah.
As of right now, he is.
How many wickets?
I think it's 15. He became the highest wicket taker today, basically.
Hmm.
Bro, how? How does this
He went for
dude
48 in 3 overs and just
How
picked up
does
1 wicket.
this dude every other IPL, no, if even if not every other, like I think 2 seasons back he was the highest wicket taker or something, and now again he comes bursts into the scene. Like what's it in him? Like what's so special in him? Like I don't understand.
With Harshal Patel, like I said, people have to start bowling in the power play. I mean, in the power play, they have to start bowling Yorkers, right? Like,
He wasn't
it's
even in the
simple.
top five few days back.
He wasn't. He
Right,
wasn't. But
right now, he's the highest wicket taker with 14 wickets in 9 matches and an economy of 10.19.
yeah, he hasn't played international cricket in what, a year plus now. But I think with Harshal Patel, one thing you have to credit him for is he bowls Yorkers, change-ups,
Slores,
etc.
yeah.
in every stages of the game, and that is why he stays in conversation and contention regularly more than everyone else, because how many people can do that? And Harshal Patel, sometimes he's like a fast spinner, at times because of what he bowls. But this is the thing that made Benny Howell and Richard Gleeson successful in the T20 Blast, when people were scoring tons of runs at Somerset's ground in Taunton. They were very successful doing exactly this. So sometimes it might look stupid, sometimes it might seem funny, but the reality is, if you can do this, you are valuable, because you might get sent around for 4 overs 40, but guys who are bowling 150 are getting Mitchell Stark. Look at this guy, freaking 60. like, so your 40 actually looks better compared to that, because you've actually kept them tied down to 20 runs less than everyone else.
I mean, like, even if you look at the batters, they're swinging hard, swinging at everything. Like, if you offer them pace, they're gonna smack and, make sure
Yeah.
the ball's out of the park. But
Yeah.
with guys like Harshal Patel, with their slowers and the variations they bring in, okay, yeah, most of the time they might get smacked, but there will be some balls where the batter themselves, like, they wouldn't know, like, what to do. They would be like, close eye,
You
they
play
would just
early on
go
your
and,
shot.
yep,
Yeah,
play
exactly.
early, just edge it, and somehow, try to clear the boundary. And then again, they'll do one mistake, and there you go. That's like a
This,
catch out or a
this is
bowled
why
out or
this
something.
is why I'm very disappointed with the spinners at the IPL this year. Why are you trying to bowl quick?
Exactly. Like they're trying to dart in. I don't
Yeah.
understand why. Like for most of the bowlers.
Why are you
Guys are
trying to
just
bowl
playing you
quick?
like medium pacers at this point.
Exactly. Johnny Bairstow could not hit a ball for his life for 2 months in India. And today Anukul Roy comes in as an impact sub and starts
Bowls
bowling him
away.
drifters.
Exactly.
Are you freaking dumb? Like, this guy's backing away outside leg stump and he's playing a back foot punch for four. Like, bro, I haven't played international cricket, but that is basic stupidity. Why will you give it to him just like that? Freaking look at Markande. Everyone thought this guy was lost. Freaking Mumbai Indians kept benching him, etc., etc. Bro's getting Will Jags bowled.
Exactly. Like he got
This
smacked for four sixes, but then again he wasn't afraid to toss the ball up or
no,
give it a bit of
he
flight. And
made it slower,
yeah,
even
slower,
slower.
even slower. Just go and hit me. Go and hit me.
Yeah,
Come and
come,
hit me.
bro,
That,
come
that
and
that's
hit
it.
me, bro. Bro,
Like
do
even if you
you
hit it for six, there will be one possibility that you can, edge it and make sure that
when you
it is a
start bowling
catch.
it at 75, 76, 77 kilometers per hour, guys have to start generating the power to hit you. If you're bowling it at 95, unless you're Akshar Patel and Ravindra Jadeja, there is no reason you need to bowl quick.
Exactly. Because they are
There-
so accurate.
yeah,
Not everyone is like that.
freaking Akshar and Jadeja are hitting your pads every ball. They can do whatever the hell they want.
If anything, Jadeja's gone for runs when he actually tried to slow it down a
Slow it
bit too
down. Yeah,
much.
exactly. Because for them that's natural, right?
That's
Like,
not true. Yep.
and because of the angle they get to every batter, Akshar Patel, if you if in any coach you went to, they would not consider Akshar Patel as a bowler because they would be like, oh, he bowls open chested, his hands falling down early. Why does his hand come like this, where he's like almost slapping his thigh? Everything textbook about left arm orthodox spinner is like not him. Same with Jadeja. Jadeja is more side on 100%. But the thing is, these guys don't bowl like what your textbook outlines shows for an off spinner to be bowling, but they have made it work, right? And I think that's the beauty of cricket is some guys have every guy is different, every player is different, and some people make it work. Now, if you think Ashwin, freaking Ashwin, like I thought this guy's so smart, this guy. Now he's coming and trying to bowl quick, freaking getting sent 30 rows back. Like, why, bro? Like, every bowler is trying to bowl quick. Varun Chakravarti today, Shashank Singh was literally waiting on the back foot. And he's like trying to dart it in quick, 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 quick. So I think
So much
there's
to
a
say
lot for
about
bowlers
Chakravarti
to
right
learn.
now. He feels more like a, a bowling machine than an actual
Hmm,
mystery spinner. There's literally no mystery about it. I saw someone
hmm,
joking about it.
Who?
The mystery surrounding him right now is whether he'll go for 50 runs or 60 runs in his four
yeah,
over. That's
Who?
it.
yeah.
And they need
Varun
his four overs.
Chakravarti.
It's as if they can't play without bowling his full quota of four overs. So that's just a terrible strategy. But okay, let's quickly go over all the teams, starting from the bottom. So I
Hmm.
mean, coming to RCB in a very batting heavy season, where we're constantly talking about how this doesn't feel like cricket; it's just batting, just batting. How does the one team that has always had a terrible bowling and a reputed batting lineup struggle so much?
I don't know, like I think it's a bit of over reliance on some of the top order batters and Maxwell in the initial phase of the tournament where they were like a lot dependent on the foreign stars like Faf and Maxwell and then again on Virat Kohli as well. And Virat definitely is doing well, but probably not at his best considering strike rate. But then again, Faf, like some of the matches he's doing well, some of the matches he isn't. So there is a bit of inconsistency, and at the same time, I don't know, like he hasn't played for the last 2 or 3 games, but the amount of matches he played in the initial phase, he wasn't scoring runs. I think he had ducks and all that. So
Yeah.
probably a bit too much reliance on those batters made them struggle a bit. Then again, Rajat Patidar, like I feel like the middle order, once like Kohli gets out, the middle order doesn't support the other batters that well. Like Patidar is doing well, but then again, there's not too many batters to support him. I've seen a collapse in almost every other match. I think against SRH, they were doing quite great. And if Dinesh Karthik didn't score 87, they wouldn't have scored 262 because there was a really really bad collapse. And we actually started posting it, and everyone started saying we
Mhm, we
jinxed it,
jinxed
right?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, but there was some sort of collapse and some failure from the middle order batters because I think they are trying to hit it too hard. Like all the batters comes in, they tries to score too much, and then they get dismissed. And then again comes Dinesh Karthik, and he kind of balances everything it out, and tries to make sure that he stays still the last over and scores some run for RCB, and that is when RCB actually scores some run. It is always like one or two batters stepping up, not everyone combining, gelling in and supporting each other out. So probably that sort of middle order collapse is what is really making RCB suffer at this point. And all the batters, especially the top order, needs to be a bit more consistent, and probably someone like Faf, who is the captain, should step up and do something bigger. He's probably doing good. He needs to do better. That's it.
This is what happens when you make your whole lineup surrounded around international, like your overseas players.
Like if
Why?
you talk
Like,
about the local players, you have Virat, like for batters, you have Virat Kohli, you have Rajat Patidar, you have Dinesh Karthik. Only these three, and the remaining part of the batting setup,
no,
you're
no, no.
dependent.
But these guys are stupid. Like, think about their auction picks. They've spent 17.5 crores on Cameron Green. For
Doesn't
what
make any
reason? For
This
sense.
what
was
reason?
such a dumb transfer. Like, come on,
Because he
man.
scored 100 in his last IPL game. That's all. RCB's been historically, they have made very shitty calls.
Alzari
Yeah,
Joseph for 11 crore. Talk
like
about that. Why?
28 and a half crores on two guys who don't even play
Make it to the 11.
T20. Alzari plays T20 cricket for West Indies now. You can say that, sure. But he doesn't justify 11 crore tag. Um, Also, Cameron Green doesn't justify, no matter how good he is right now, he still hasn't proved anything in T20I cricket. If you're picking him based on that one India tour and the fact that he scored 100 for Mumbai Indians in that last IPL game last year, and you're
And
gonna
you also have to
spend
remember how Mumbai used him as a number three. You
yeah,
can't afford to have him as a number three. Then
no.
why are you investing so much in him?
And if you're gonna spend 17.5 on him, why have you bought Will Jacks? He's one of the best T20I players right now, T20 players right now in the world. You're not going to open with him because your two big dogs want to open and they're not going to move from their position. And you want Will Jacks to bat at three after basically everyone's failed. And for some reason, Will Jacks didn't start the tournament. All right, now forget about all of that. They actually have some good domestic players, batters, who have done well in the last, Vijay Hazare Trophy and Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy. Manoj Bhandage has a strike rate of 150 and an average of like 35 plus, hasn't played a game.
You would probably not even know their names because their
Yeah,
entire batting order is only dependent on foreign
on the
stars, and
on
that's it.
number, yeah, until number 4. That's it. And then they put Anuj Rawat, Mahipal Lomror, and Dinesh Karthik together. That, oh, if something happens, please save us somehow. How is that gonna happen?
And one of the worst excuses I saw was when Virat had that slow innings against Rajasthan. Like, again, blaming the pitch is one thing, which you can argue that the dew changed things in the second innings. But to say that he batted like that because there was no one after him is so ridiculous. When Lomror, Rawat, and Karthik all had at least one good innings before that.
Yeah, yeah. And think about this. I made a post about this the other day that Suyash Prabhudesai has been warming the bench at RCB for like 3 years now. Hasn't gotten a game. Everyone else that came after him and with him has gotten more games than him. Bro only comes onto field. He's a freaking damn good batsman who's had a really good domestic year. The next game he comes out to bat, he scores like 24 of 16 or something. The players are there. Make good decisions. Why have you hired Mohammed Bobat from England if he can't make these decisions for you? And he's the director of cricket. You've got Freddie Wild from CricViz as your data guy. You guys bank so much on data. Data should show you Manoj Bhandage is scoring 160 strike rate and 35 runs per game. You thought Glenn, when Hassan was the coach, you thought Maxwell averaging 28 and scoring at 140 in the middle overs was good enough for you, and you transformed your whole batting lineup through that. But you don't think Manoj Bhandage can do it? Almost every other team has given a chance to local players to come out and express themselves, except RCB. Mahipal Lomror scored a 45. Next game he was benched. Anuj Rawat had one good game. 2 games later he's benched. Saurav Chauhan came out of nowhere.
I think the chemistry is lacking for this team.
Like, no,
Big
no,
time.
yeah, you can't set up a team like that where you put all your big guys at the top and you just expect that,
They come
you
up
just
and they
expect
perform.
whatever SRH is doing to work for you.
Can we also say that it shows that it's not just the problem of being top heavy, it's the fact that being top heavy, the guys they're relying on are clearly, visibly past their prime. Can we
Hmm.
finally acknowledge that?
Hmm.
They're amazing players. They're the players of a certain caliber which we are not even qualified to talk about. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. But
Yeah.
they are past their prime. It is what it
No,
is.
no, you have to accept. I said this a couple of days ago, and this is for a team that is nowhere close to the pedigree of, the players we're talking about, like Faf and
Faf
Virat
is
Kohli.
40, I think.
Bro, some players you just have to accept that they're past their prime, and that is true for an associate nation, that is true for an international nation. If you want Virat Kohli to play, either Virat Kohli has to start playing at the pace that the game is going at, or Virat Kohli has to say, okay, I'm going to take a step back, like Maxwell's done. You can say Virat Kohli is still the highest run scorer, etc., whatever. That's not the point. Babar Azam's getting shit on, despite being the highest run scorer everywhere. Mohammad Rizwan's getting shit on, despite being the highest run scorer everywhere. Because they're not
Matching
playing
the pace.
the pace of the game. They're not playing for the team. Bro, I'm sorry, but if Virat doesn't start scoring at the pace he needs to score at, Virat can score runs at every ground in this world, at every condition in this world, and etc. etc. But unfortunately, he needs to start doing it at the speed of the need of the hour, right? Like that's basically the Faf. I'm sorry, done, past his prime. Anuj Rawat is an opener. Why the hell is he batting at 6? Why is like
In
it's
general,
Do
it's
you take the
annoying
bold
because
decision
look
and
at what Phil Salt is doing and look at what Will Jacks has to go through. Like,
do you take the bold decision of dropping someone like Faf and giving the captaincy to someone young? I'm going to leave that up to you. Whoever that young player is, who you
no,
think can
giving the
be the
captaincy
future
back to
leader of
DK.
RCB. Hmm?
DK,
DK.
DK,
you actually
future. I
can.
said future. DK has
Yeah,
officially said that this will be his last IPL season.
no, I think there is nothing wrong with make. Well, they could, who they could have made the captain, but they
Patidar?
basically decided. No, they decided to trade him because they're also stupid in their trades.
Oh,
Shabazz
I got
Ahmed.
it. Shabazz.
Why the hell
Not
did you
necessarily
trade him?
captain, but a very useful all rounder in that
All
middle.
rounder, yeah. And
But
and if you needed someone to take the reins for 6 games of the season after you've basically done jack shit, he was a good candidate because he can basically he will play.
another guy who could have started captaining 3 seasons ago, in fact, Yuzvendra Chahal.
Don't even get me started. They traded Chahal.
Samin, can we say that this is in the history of IPL, it was the worst move of all time to let go of Chahal.
Like, it is, it goes above me. Like, I don't understand how they make such a foolish decision considering their bowling is so, so bad. Like, they don't have, like, their batters, like, some big names definitely, but the batters aren't doing well. On top of that, their
Bowlers win
bowling
you
is
tournaments.
nothing.
Bowlers win you
Exactly.
tournaments. Simple.
They have nothing in their team. Like they have someone like Alzari Joseph, who they got for 11 crores, not even playing the games. They have Lockie Ferguson, like such a big name, bowls 150 for what? Going for like 30 runs in 2 overs without picking up a wicket. Doesn't win you games. They have like India's probably, most premium fast bowlers after Bumrah, Mohammad Siraj, doesn't win you games for doesn't win games for RCB. Concedes runs, doesn't
Yash
pick up
Dayal
wickets.
going for 50
Yash
years.
Dayal, exactly. Like, where are your bowlers? In fact, where are
Their
your
lead spinner
spinners?
is Karan Sharma. I mean, no disrespect to the
Exactly.
man, but come on.
And
Karan
and
Sharma is equivalent
and
to Piyush Chawla, bro.
and this is the worst part. In the when one game in the middle where they brought in a spinner as the impact sub, they brought Himanshu Sharma ahead of Karan Sharma, and Himanshu Sharma got smacked for like 30 runs in 2 overs. Bro, Faf, are you dumb or am I dumb? Like,
Well, he quickly just wrote Sharma on the team sheet, and then they forgot to mention which first name, so got a little
this
confused.
is freaking Karan Sharma almost won them the game that
On the
day.
contrary,
But
look at what Yuzvendra Chahal is doing on this wicket. It's like most wickets like only meant for batters, and then again this dude like a spinner comes in and still one of the highest wicket takers of the tournament, doing decent, and you have left him like seasons back. What's the point?
He's actually had what every single season for RR. He's performed exceptionally well if we consider the runs that are
yeah,
being scored.
Let
yeah.
alone RR, like
And
whenever
he
he used to
bowled
play
at
for RCB.
Chinnaswamy, one of the smallest
Exactly.
grounds.
He was doing well for RCB. What was the reason to drop
He
him
was
or
literally carrying
just
that bowling attack on his back since before he made his international debut. Think about that for a second.
That's actually true. Some guy, some leggy from Haryana basically carrying their lineup.
like a short, lanky dude? Like
Uh,
you don't you look at him, you don't realize that he's a cricketer, right? But then again, he's probably one of the best leg spinners you'll ever see, like from India, and he does so well. And like a team like
they
RCB,
traded
I don't know.
Harshal. They gave up Harshal Patel too, and he's the highest wicket taker right now in the
No, but
tournament.
again, they held on to Harshal Patel when they let go of Yuzvendra Chahal. And then
Okay,
they eventually let go of Harshal Patel as well. Like, again, what are you
the
doing?
last thing,
But whatever. See, here is one of the funniest things. When Hessin said, "Oh, we released Harshal because Harshal should go into the auction and get his true price." Bullshit reasoning. Because you're not paying Virat Kohli what he got drafted for freaking 15 years ago. So don't give me that bullshit. Because before the trading window and everything, you can actually decide what you want to allocate for each player. So there is no need for them to actually release Harshal Patel and buy him back. And then when they bought him back, obviously they bought him back too high because he got freaking 32 wickets 2 seasons ago. Next season he got like 20 something. He was playing for India. Everyone was, crazy about Harshal Patel. Price got driven up and RCB paid way more than they wanted to, 100%. So then they thought, what's the best way we can recover the money? Trade him out. No, you're just dumb. You have no money management. You have no player strategy. Your recruitment strategy is garbage. Freaking Mike Hassan has gone from RCB to Islamabad United and won the tournament.
all I can say is they only
Garbage.
deserve Yash Dayal. Let's move forward. Like Yash Dayal is what RCB deserves and nothing else.
It's funny
Freaking,
because Yash actually started the tournament decently and then faded off.
yeah, he had what 8 wickets, I think, in the first
As I said
60.
before, Salahuddin Shakil from India. That's it.
Yo,
No
fat.
disrespect to Salahuddin
Yo,
Shakil. Antanegi.
yo.
Look eerily similar to each other. It's crazy. Uncanny. Anyways, moving on to Mumbai Indians. I'm not exactly a fan. I just like the jersey. The whole
Mhm.
Hardik Pandya debacle. Is it a big part of why they're second last as of right now?
Do you think it's created a division within the team?
It seems so. I could be wrong. I'm speculating from a
I think
distance,
I
but
think it's
that's what it
happened
looks
even
like.
before the season.
Absolutely. I think it happened the very moment that that decision was confirmed, and Surya Kumar Yadav and Jasprit Bumrah posted subtly against it on Instagram.
Yeah, because here's the thing: it's obvious they bullied Gujarat into this trade. We're not stupid. Let's be honest. People might call us conspiracy theorists, etc. But let's not be stupid here. It's obvious what happened. Now, when you bring him and you kind of decide that the guy who has carried you, who's won you 5 tournaments, etc., is obvious, apparently all of a sudden not good enough, it's going to create division, especially with senior players. Surya and Bumrah have seen their careers rise to different heights under Rohit Sharma. Nehal Vadera was playing last year. Tilak Verma was batting in the top order last year. A lot of things were actually going right in terms of their domestic players, younger players, and their senior players. And I think when you come and see the response that Hardik's getting from the fans, it tells you what the fan base is thinking. It tells you where people are at in terms of their mindset with this decision. And I think it's just driven Hardik to a mental space where he's kind of stuck right now because, bro, it can have to imagine you going to play and everyone hates you, right? Like, it's not the best place to be at. But unfortunately, they put him in this position. And I think one of his clauses to come back to MI was probably that I want the captaincy, right? And you can see what's happened, and it's no rocket science. You can see it's out there for everyone to see. And yeah, freaking KP and whoever can cry about it on social media as much as they want. Someone needs to get a hold of this. You can't change the fans' sentiment. People will just
Exactly.
get
Like,
even angrier.
I think, for someone like Rohit Sharma, like for the
Hmm.
fans, they used to worship this guy. Probably,
Hmm.
close to worshipping. Like,
Hmm.
this dude has helped them win like 5 trophies. That's a
Hmm.
lot,
Hmm.
considering like the stature of IPL and the team itself. It's a big thing. So bringing in Hardik Pandya into the team wasn't a wrong decision. Maybe as a player, he's a really good player and an athlete, and might be as a captain too. He has helped Gujarat win a trophy. But then again, bringing him back as a captain and for no reason removing Rohit Sharma, who has done so well, it is like a big conflict of interest. And, they have hit the sentiments of the fans. So there is some external pressure too that has led to, this sort of disastrous performance, if I can put it in that way. So probably that has really, worsened the situation for Mumbai. And then again, I haven't, seen like a lot of big names in the team. Like, yes, of course, they have Bumrah, Rohit Sharma, and in terms of foreign stars too, like I don't know, like Team David maybe, most of the guys, like even for
Hmm.
bowlers, I don't know if they have some big names. Like spinners, I don't know. So probably like team combination wise, might be Mumbai is a bit lacking. But then again, I think the most important reason why they have failed is probably because of how the chemistry are shaped up and how the external pressure for them has really helped them go in the wrong direction.
Jasprit Bumrah, the near perfect pacer that we're witnessing right now amidst all the run fest. Will there be a message from the NCA? Not to explore the negative angle, but will there possibly be a message from the NCA to just be a little careful with how they use him? And
I
will
would be.
Mumbai
I
even
would.
listen?
I would be careful. Mumbai will not listen because they'll be like, "I don't give a shit about what you say. We'll spend our money and get him back to fitness if we need it. So you can go and do whatever the
This
hell
is
you want."
Albeit
becoming like
after the
football.
World Cup?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is entirely becoming like football. Like a club is responsible for everything. They wouldn't like if they think like he's not, doing well, like they wouldn't allow him to go and play for his national team, rather keep him back and invest on his fitness and all that stuff, and rather make him play the league games more than national games. So it is you
First
eventually
of your
turning
money.
into football. Exactly.
And he did get ridiculed for it too, Bumrah, because people said, "Oh, as soon as the IPL's back, you're fit again. When international cricket is going on, you're not fit again." So, bro, people will watch any cricket that you feed them, but when it comes to international cricket, still to this day, people prioritize that over everything else. And I'm talking about fans here. So when you don't play, people will remember that what you're playing and what you're not playing and when you're playing. Because Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer don't have a contract for this exact reason.
Ishan Kishan is actually my next topic. He's not had the best of seasons so far. He's been aggressive at the start, which is a good thing, but he's not had a big score in such a high scoring season.
Mhm.
Is he not making a good case for himself, even though he adds that keeping option?
I mean, if you think about the kind of backup options that you have, I think Rishabh has pretty much done
Confirmed this spot,
himself,
yeah.
yeah, confirmed his spot right at this point. And
There's
then you have
Jitesh Sharma too.
Jitesh Sharma, and if you really want to be out of the box, you also have Park Simran, and you also have KL Rahul. So you have your options. And if Ishan Kishan, he scored, I think, what, 150 till now, or maybe more, I'm not sure.
150 this month,
150, yeah.
averaging
So
24, strike rate 168, something like that.
yeah, strike
Mm,
rate's okay, but if you're not delivering consistently at the top, like I said, actually, here's the thing: both of your openers don't need to bat outside of the power play. If one of them bats outside of the power play, they are the one that everyone bats around, but they still bat at a good tempo, so that people don't get angry at me for saying, "Oh, Virat is doing that." No, still have to bat at a good tempo. But the other opener gets you 30 of 18 per se in the power play, and then he gets out. It's fine because he set it up. 30 of 18, the other guys probably got 25, 30 of 18. You have 60, 50 to 60 runs in the power play. So he's actually done his job. And you have to think about it in that context. I think now that's the way the game has evolved, because then your number three, four, five will have to come and do the job for the next 6, 7 overs, and then your seven and eight have to finish it in the last 3, 4 overs, whatever it is.
What should be the plan for a team like MI who just aren't finding the right gear? They have all the star players they need. Absolutely the perfect core of local
Yeah.
players. Maybe a spinner short, but Shreyas Gopal's been pretty decent. Piyush Chawla can
Mhm.
be very useful. Mohammad Nabi as an overseas player can contribute
Why
to
did
your
Gopal get dropped?
department.
Why did Gopal get dropped?
For that matter, why did Gopal not even get his full quota of overs when he was doing well in that Chennai game and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
he got
yeah,
dropped? It just
yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
Freaking Nehal Vadera's batting at like
one
six.
solution and one answer. Play Arjun Tendulkar.
My guy, that is a very good solution, and it'll get them out of the tournament very soon. They'll be
I
joining
think I think with I think with what's it called? MI, they actually need to kind of decide, do they want to go for the kill, or do they just want to finish mid table and reassess at the end of the tournament who they want to keep and who they don't want to keep.
I think the second option probably that is what they're gonna
They
do.
just have to
That is also
solve
very
something.
un-MI like, right?
It is un-MI like, but I think given the stage of the tournament we're at, how many games done? 42 games done, something like that.
They can
Um,
only afford to lose one now.
One, yeah. So you can only lose what, one game, and if you lose one game, you're done. But when you're number nine and your net run rate is minus 0.22, unless you score 250 next game and bowl them out for like 150, it's gonna be tough. And I mean, their next game's against DC, so you can say that it might happen. But DC is also batting well. And, um, no, but I think,
Make Norke ball 250 is nothing.
yeah.
Yes,
Um,
that Williams has to come in. He just has to.
I know it's just.
We're
I
gonna
think
talk about that more when
yeah,
DC
yeah.
discussion
Because
comes.
I saw that day. I think just not to go too far ahead, but I think that day I saw David Miller kind of talking to Nokia, and he was telling him about why are you bowling everything fast,
This
speed,
is not freaking
in
Cape
the
Town.
face. He's like you can bowl cutters, you can bowl things that are like bouncing up, and so I saw he was giving him some feedback. Anyways, coming back to I think they have to decide what they want to do at this stage, and if mid-table finish is what they decide to go with, then they kind of have to solidify that 11 that will get them the mid-table finish. If they want to still gun for a top four finish, I think they have to drop someone, either Kishan or either Rohit or either Surya Kumar Yadav. Some I don't know.
This guy
I
has barely played, to be honest. He's
Yeah,
still on and off with his
yeah,
injury.
exactly. Yeah, but I think if Tilak Verma's batting like 4 or 5 or whatever it is, and Nehal Wadera is batting 6, I'm not sure you're really giving yourself much of a chance to win games.
like and at the same time the problem for most teams and the same with Mumbai, like I don't understand their negligence towards spinners. Like you
Mm,
have Piyush Chawla, I
mm.
understand like he's a very experienced campaigner and whatnot, but he's not going to serve you for the next 2 or 3 years. He's still like on the verge of retiring. You have Shreyas Gopal, then again not a big name. And even for local foreign options too, you have Mohammad Nabi, but then again, you don't have someone, an actual spinner or someone of a bigger stature to, cover that spot up.
And
So I
Hardik
don't
is
understand.
opening the bowling. So
Yeah, Hardik is opening the bowling. Like there are some pacers other than like Bumrah is doing well. Koetze at times he's getting wickets, but then again he's expensive. So bowling wise, they don't have that punch. And then again, like batting, yeah, Ishan Kishan definitely a big prospect. They have Tilak Verma, they have Team David and whatnot, but all of them they are not combining well enough. Like I feel like the team is a bit out of sort, and probably that is why they have been suffering this season till now.
Disappointed with Tushara's debut?
3 overs 28.
um, I think
No
because of
impact
what
on the new
happened,
ball?
versus Bangladesh, people were expecting a lot more. But you have to remember, Bangladesh is
Opponent is
Bangladesh.
not Bangladesh. Like opponent
You have
isn't
to-
Bangladesh. Like
Bangladesh players had no clue how to play. As soon as someone starts bowling anywhere outside of the vertical, Bangladesh players forget how to bat.
and most of these guys in the IPL have either done analysis on Malinga or
Mm,
have played Malinga, so they can
yeah,
play Tushara anyways. So that is how the game develops, and probably with the analysis and whatnot, Indian cricketers they're not dumb. Like they have all their bases covered. So facing Tushara is like facing Malinga or facing even Pathirana. So that's how it is. So, yeah.
and I
Punjab
think he
Kings,
was
our
nervous
next
too.
team. How big was this
Punjab.
win? And
Oh,
they're
So
barely alive in
Punjab.
the tournament right now. But how big of a confidence boost is the win like what we saw today?
okay,
Punjab should have
just
won more games, but it
why
is
was
where.
Sam Curran captain game? Was he the captain today?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he was the captain today because Dhawan is injured.
Or he
Mm.
was technically the vice captain of the team?
So Sam Curran was the vice captain last season. This is another ridiculous point. I'm glad you brought it up. Sam Curran was the vice captain last season, and I understand that completely with the whole 18.5 crore thing. He's still an 18.5 crore player, but they sent
How?
Jitesh Sharma for the photo shoot. How?
How is he a 18.5 crore player?
No. I'm not justifying him being 18.5 crore, but if we go into that story, then he was the 18.5 crore player because he was the player of the
Play of the
tournament in
tournament
T20
in
World Cup just like a couple of months before the actual auction. And then he
He
gets
got
that amount. They
recency
can't let
no
him
recency
wait.
go.
bias.
He
Recency
got player
bias.
of the tournament for his bowling, right? back
in Australia.
that time.
in
Now he
Australia.
doesn't even, yeah, in Australia, and now he doesn't even bowl the full quota of 4 overs, right? Bowls 2 or 3 for Punjab Kings. They don't utilize him as a bowler. They
He doesn't
utilize him
utilize
as a,
himself as a bowler.
yeah, he doesn't. And then again, he comes in as a batter. At times, scores some 50 or 60,
Opening.
good knocks, opens the innings, and then again, at times, he doesn't even strike around more than 120. Like I don't know what's up with this. What's
I
he
think it's
doing?
the pressure he's a very serious cricketer. I'll give him credit for that. And he's trying a lot. He's trying to justify that price tag. He's trying to justify being the senior cricketer in a team that has Johnny Bairstow, Shikhar Dhawan, Riley
Rabada,
Russo,
Yeah.
Rabada.
Kagiso Rabada. So that's what's getting to him a bit. See, but see, you raised a very valid point about the whole vice captain situation. They sent Jitesh Sharma out for the photo shoot because Dhawan couldn't go for the photo shoot as well, and they mentioned that they're sending him because he is the vice captain. They officially called him that. How do you call a player a vice captain when you're not giving him the captaincy when the captain gets injured? What is that title then? What is the meaning of that title? Aren't you disturbing his confidence? He's playing for the national team now. He may not make it to the World Cup, but he's still around the T20 circuit. Isn't this a way to demean him, sort of?
This is the basic example of how players are treated in the subcontinent. They have
Younger
no
players.
younger players. They have no regard for players' mindset. They have no regard for communication, and they have absolutely no regard for prioritizing people, the right people at the right time. Jitesh
I'm just going
Sharma
to bring
had
in
a
one small example here.
yeah.
Uh, KKR made Surya Kumar Yadav the vice captain all the way back in 2015. This was a very
Hmm.
young and inexperienced Surya Kumar Yadav, not the one we see
Hmm.
right now.
Hmm.
So what happened was when Gambhir got injured and left the field for just a few overs in a crunch game, he looked like a deer in headlights. He had no clue what to do. He was just the captain by name, and again, he genuinely didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to instruct, what players. He was just fielding in the deep and looked completely confused. KKR lost the game. The next time Gambhir gets injured in the middle of the game, Sky is still the captain, on field captain, stand in captain, whatever you want to call it, not going to the toss or anything, but still the captain, while Uttapa from behind the stumps is giving all the instructions. You could have
Hmm.
easily just made Uttapa, the more experienced player, the vice captain, instead of saying that we're giving him the vice captain because we're instilling that confidence in him when he
Hmm.
himself doesn't have that confidence, and nor do you. If Gambhir got injured for a longer time, I guarantee you Uttapa would have been made the captain and not Sky. And this just
I
reminded me
think
of that, and there are so many other examples like that.
the thing with Sam Curran, probably in my opinion, is as he's not, giving his best with the bat or with the ball, they somehow need to make that 18.45 crore
That's
worth
it.
it,
That,
and
that's
probably
literally it.
that is why they have given him the captaincy, giving him the tag of a senior player, or slash he's such a big player, have been to Ambani's wedding, and for his stature, that's how he comes in as a captain. I don't see any other explanation behind, such a foolish move, rubbish move, right? So that is it.
No, I mean that is what it is. I can't really find better
it,
words to describe the situation.
it's
But
become
other than
a
that,
no, it's become a kind of a like a reputation game here. And that's all.
Go
That's
to
all it.
Ambani's wedding,
Go to Ambani's wedding, become captain.
be a big player. Okay.
Freaking hell.
But then again, you have
Shashank
to.
Singh and
Ashutosh.
Ashutosh
Ashutosh.
Sharma.
I don't know, like as a team, like whichever, like however, like Punjab Kings is playing, these two guys, like they have given some life to this particular franchise. I would say
Hmm.
Shashank, Ashutosh, Shashank with all those ridiculous things happening in the auction. He came back, like he proved like what he is capable of. He wasn't like in the scene in the previous IPL. He wasn't doing that well to be actually
Yeah.
called upon or something like that. But this time out, like the way this guy Ashutosh Sharma, like let alone Shashank Singh, the way he bats, you see a bit of a glimpse of sky in him, right?
Yeah.
That you see that influence coming to this young batters, right? This guy, I think, probably was nowhere, nothing like few years back. He was probably
He's
playing
not
on
young,
local
by the
level.
way. He's 32.
Okay, like sorry, sorry,
That's
sorry
Shashank,
about that,
right?
but
Ashutosh is young. Shashank is
Ashutosh is
32.
Ashutosh. No, I'm talking
25.
about no, no. I'm talking about Ashutosh. He wasn't in the
Okay.
scene like few years back. He was
Yeah.
playing probably some local leagues. I saw a video or something. He wasn't considered for such a big stage. Now he comes in. He has a glimpse of sky in him. Scores
Yeah.
all those quick runs. And the same with Shashank Singh. He's 32, but then again, at this age, like when most of the players are at their prime or have passed their prime, he comes back now. He makes a standpoint for him to be called upon in the Indian national team to be like a potential candidate. So that how cool is that? So yeah, I think probably Punjab Kings has won there in terms of investing in these two players and them actually stepping up for the franchise.
Ashutosh impressed everyone at Royals' trial. I mean, not Royals, Punjab Kings trials. Because
That's how he came up. Like yeah,
yeah, so he's actually one of these guys who was exceptional in the trial with his six hitting, and like I said, he was dropped 4 years ago, and they kind of thought he was kind of lost in the wilderness, but he came back and look at what he's doing now. Because I said he's gonna be in the Indian national team soon because the way he packs a punch, man, you haven't seen someone like that in a long, long time, except maybe Rinku Singh and you know.
Is Ashutosh in the breed of what we can call a modern day slogger, where the slogger is no longer a derogatory term, but just a way to describe one's way of batting or one's approach to batting?
Yeah, you could say that because he's one of those players who are very comfortable to go from ball one, and he's not worried about if he gets out for a duck or if he gets 60. He's very comfortable in that role where it's a very high risk, high reward kind of a role. Clear front leg, go for it, or stand and deliver kind of a situation. It's either of the two, so you kind of have to go at it like that. So yeah, you can call him a slugger, finisher, slugger, whatever it is you call it. But like you said, it's not a derogatory term anymore. And if you can do it, and if you can do it well,
it's
everyone
an
wants
asset.
you. Yeah, everyone wants you.
GT, given the situations, I mean, can we just say that they're doing good enough, even though they're number seven, which is it looks terrible for a side that was 1 and 2 in the last couple of seasons. Given all that happened, they're playing decent enough cricket.
Given, yeah.
I think they've let go of Hardik Pandya. They've got like in terms of
They were
replacement,
forced to.
They were
they were
forced.
forced to. They were forced to. In terms of replacement, they've got a foreign option in Azmatullah Omarzai. That's a big, big role to be filling up, to be covering up. You have to bowl those 3 to 4 overs, get those wickets at the same time. Come in as like a proper middle order batter and probably hit from ball one, or probably towards the latter stage of the innings take the responsibility to hit those big, big boundaries and all that stuff. So my question to you guys, like, did he like I don't think like he could fill in that gap quite successfully. Probably GT is doing well, but do you still think there is a gap left where like Hardik Pandya left or something like
I
that?
think I think what they need to do is, this might be a little, ambitious, but they need to switch Omarzai and Shahrukh Khan's spot.
I was thinking the same.
Omarzai, great player,
Yeah,
exceptional player. He's developed really well in the last 10, 12 months, whatever it is. But I think at this stage in the IPL, because he's had a couple of try games, I mean, every game he hasn't scored much runs at
he
all.
hasn't picked up wickets either.
Yeah, so you can basically send him lower order. Shahrukh Khan, price tag, big player in domestic circuit, comes with a lot of pedigree. Give him that responsibility in the middle order. Tell him he needs to carry the
I
team.
think. I think they need to, find a replacement for Hardik the batter more than
Mm.
Hardik the all-rounder in this case, and
Yeah,
probably Shah Rukh Khan, fills in that gap and is probably a better option
yeah.
considering Omar Zai isn't performing. They do have someone like, some other overseas players to back him up. I think Miller isn't playing like who are the top four? I think Noor,
Miller is playing.
Rashid, Omar Zai, Miller is playing, right? And Miller
Miller
is the
is
fourth
He
playing.
got
option,
dropped in
No,
the
probably.
no.
middle, but now he's back.
Maybe get someone like Josh Little who has been in the bench for a while. Get a foreign pacer in and get someone like Shah Rukh Khan to bat in the middle over. Probably
Yeah,
that covers him.
you can, or you can get Spencer Johnson.
Yeah, Spencer Johnson back.
They
Spencer
tried that
Johnson,
though. It's not
Yeah,
working
but
for them.
it didn't work. Yeah, I think.
10 crores still a lot, so probably get him back, or maybe Josh Little, who has been in the bench the entire tournament. Show some faith on him. Because GT has been one team. They have been showing trust on this, not so big overseas players, like from smaller nations like
Mm,
Afghanistan,
yeah,
and they have actually been fruitful for them. So why not show a bit more trust on Josh Little and get something out of him? Probably that way. Yeah.
But in a weird way, their bowling hasn't been all that terrible if you think about it,
yeah.
without Josh Little
Yeah,
or
it's
Spencer
it's
Johnson for that
it's
matter.
more about replacing Azmatullah, getting in a batter and probably making that spot like that overseas spot into a bowling option, right?
Here's an interesting thing.
Riddiman,
So the
Riddiman.
problem is the problem with Azmatullah is their lack of all-round options. That's why they're having to persist with Azmatullah Omarzai.
Mm-hmm.
What if they decide to give more overs to Rahul Tewatia? He's not bowling. He hasn't
Ha
been
ha
bowling since the
ha.
impact player rule
This,
got in.
this guy's
He
gonna
hasn't
go, beyond the boundaries
he hasn't bowled in
quite a while.
years. I think.
He said to Harsha Bhogle that he's regularly bowling for a few hours in the nets almost every day. It's just that
Mm.
uh, the game
Let
situation
me
is
tell
not
you what
demanding it out of him.
let me tell you what's happening when he's coming to ball. He's gonna ball, some ball gonna pitch up for sure, but most of the ball, short pitch deliveries, batsmen gonna, stand on their back foot, wait for it, smack it, over the boundaries. That's gonna happen for
The
sure.
only way they can actually kind of make it work is the way they did with Shah Rukh Khan the other day, where if he bowls in between the likes of Noor Ahmed and Rashid Khan, it
Yeah.
becomes a little difficult for the batters and they're thinking
What
a bit
about
too much with what the
what
delivery is
about
going to do.
3D? What about 3D the all
Vijay
rounder?
Shankar.
3D, if
3D
3D
the
comes in, then we cannot promote Shah Rukh Khan. By
okay.
we, I mean GT, of course, but GT cannot promote Shah Rukh Khan because then he will have to take that number four spot and he will have to
Yeah.
bat and then he will have to bowl as well.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
someone who doesn't bowl regularly. GT, even in domestic cricket,
I
sorry,
think I think because of how late this Hardik Pandya thing happened, they actually didn't have the time to look into who can replace.
I think
Or
the worst
Azmatullah
part is Mohammad
Omarzai.
Shami thing happened just after that.
Yeah,
yes, their best. I think they made the best investment
yeah,
in
Omarzai.
hoping Azmatullah Omarzai will come
Exactly, because
clutch.
in terms of recency bias as well, his
Yeah,
recent performance, man scored like 150 against Sri Lanka in a really good, run chase. They couldn't win the match, but Afghanistan played incredibly. World Cup wise as well, this guy, showed brilliance with the ball with the bat. In
yeah,
India,
yeah,
in all those flat wickets, right?
yeah.
So I think it in terms of recency bias and how things turned out for GT at that point, as Kibriya Bhai said, Azmatullah was their best option. Who else they could have gone for,
Yeah.
right? So
There's
that's
not
how
much. There's not much.
there's
Yeah,
not much. Pace
yeah,
bowling all-rounders are a rare scene nowadays. You have someone like Sam Kerr and Cameron Groom, but then again, they come up, they only, probably showcase their brilliance only in one sector, on one department. The other department gets unnoticed, right?
hmm,
Or even if like they are not contributing either ways, like not with the bat, not with the ball. So you need a perfect all-rounder who could fill the gap of Hardik Pandya, and probably Umar Zaid was the best option for them.
You're seeing Gulbuddin Naib get picked right now just because he had those couple of games against India. But again, it's not something we would have imagined a few years ago. It's happening now because pace bowling all rounders are always going to be in demand when the topic is playing cricket in the subcontinent because the subcontinent doesn't naturally generate as many pace bowling all rounders,
Rasha,
unfortunately.
like I don't know why teams aren't going for Dasun Shanaka. Like probably
They
DC
tried
could have
last
gone.
season, didn't work. They
last
tried last
season,
season.
yeah, he didn't really. And I think same thing, right? If you're not performing in international cricket as an overseas player, it's not gonna work for you because that's the biggest data they look at is your international cricket
And
performance.
do you end up considering someone like Angelo Matthews, for example?
It's not a bad call, honestly.
Not a bad call. Like for DC to replace someone like Marsh, I don't think it was a bad
Well,
option.
yeah. So I think with Gulbadin, what it is
Matthews is balling.
more recency bias, and the fact that yeah, like I think he will probably give you a little more than Matthew. But this is the thing: Matthews has been around since 2009, and his bowling has always just had this thing about it that comes clutch in the
And he
right
played for
moments.
DC before. He
Yeah.
did play for DC before.
So
And he's even captained in the IPL, so there's that experience as well.
you
He
captain
only,
Daredevils
yeah.
He captained Pune,
or Pune,
Pune Warriors
Pune.
India, that one.
Mm.
We wish Mohammad Saifuddin was a bit more consistent and
Saifuddin found his form after the IPL auction, so obviously he wasn't even in the list.
and exactly like that's what I'm saying. A bit more consistent throughout his career and let go of those injuries.
What if?
Probably could
He
have
will,
been
Mohammad
what if,
Saifuddin will always be my favorite what if I'm
What
being
if?
what
completely
if,
honest.
what
Yes.
if.
Yes.
But again, let's move on. Also, important to remember, Saifuddin has a World Cup half century against India, so it wasn't exactly far from the realms of possibility for him to get a contract had he not gotten that stupid football injury at the end of 2019.
Fucking guy.
Bangladesh had a
Stupid.
tour of India. He comes in and performs in the T20s. He's gotten a half century against them in the World Cup. Add those two
Man,
things
an
together, he has
IPL
an IPL
contract.
contract.
Who's the next
And
team?
that's just sad.
Because
The next team I think is Delhi. Let's
mm,
check again. Yep, it's Delhi. So we were talking about Marsh being replaced by Gulbuddin Naim, but Fardin, I have to bring this up. Since the beginning of his IPL career, Mitchell Marsh has been this runaway bride of sorts. He
mm,
comes in, maybe has one or two games, sometimes not even that, and just disappears with an injury. And I'm not
yeah,
blaming a player for getting injured. No, I'm not. That's not something we would do. But
yeah,
is it also not time that teams realize that even though he's a fantastic cricketer,
hmm,
absolutely a near perfect T20 cricketer that we're seeing right now,
yeah,
uh, some investments are just not worth it.
yeah. I think Marsh, like you said, exceptional player, Australia's T20I captain, etc., etc. But just like some players are really good ODI players, and they're not good enough T20I players, so you wouldn't pick them in your T20I squad. Some players just don't have the drive or don't drive themselves through a T20 tournament like they do drive themselves through international cricket. That's the reality. Marsh has been, I think, around since Pune Warriors days,
Yeah, he was there for that team as well.
right? Um,
He
yes,
played
he's
for
a
both
big
Punes, in
impact player.
fact. That's just a random detail I
Hey,
want to
hey,
include. He played for both
hey,
Punes.
both Punes. So I think because of the amount of players available these days, you can easily just move on and say, and I think IPL is very quick to move on from people. Um, but I think what works in his favor is World Cup performances because people remember World Cup performances more than everything else,
And here, in
and
addition,
being Australian,
yeah, exactly. A
yeah,
bit too much over reliance on Australian players.
yeah.
A bit, probably will make teams suffer because these
Ninety
players,
percent
Australian
leagues in this
players,
world wouldn't buy
yeah,
Mitchell Stark again after what he did to RCB with the money thing, right?
And he
exactly.
did it to KKR as well, by
As
the
well,
way. And
yeah,
they're the ones who bought him.
yeah. So
And
90% teams wouldn't buy you back after that. But
And the thing about Australian
this,
players, yeah, even if they like if they feel like they have a slight chance of getting injured, they would step down almost immediately because they know national team is a lot more for them. They're
Yeah,
committed
yeah.
in that way. So if you are looking for commitment, like
Marsh was
total
gone.
commitment for
Yeah.
full season, you can't be expecting that from a top Australian player like Mitchell Marsh or even someone like Mitchell Stark or Glenn Maxwell who has actually stepped.
If Cummins pulled up different after bowling one ball tomorrow, best believe he's not bowling a single ball after that.
Yeah. He would rather, play the World Cup for Australia than earn money or maybe go play Ashes
Yeah.
afterwards. So probably that is more important for them.
And they
So
have India coming home this summer, so they have a
exactly.
lot. Like Australia is always going to prioritize international
Yeah,
cricket. So
exactly.
if you want, especially the contracted players, so if you want, guys to sell their soul for IPL, yes, they have a lot of preference towards Australian players, but also Australian players aren't going to be the ones to sell their soul for the IPL. Bring in my boy
Speaking
Tim
of Australian
Robinson.
players, let's
Tim.
talk about someone much younger than the likes of Cummins or
Oh
Marsh
yes,
or Warner.
sir,
Jake Fraser McGurk.
bro. This is this guy is basically the example of how life can change in minutes and not even days, like minutes. This guy dropped from South Victoria, wasn't scored. He wasn't even scoring runs in great cricket. Okay, like when he got dropped by Victoria after last summer, last Australian summer. I was reading some of the comments on Facebook in those cricket.com.au posts or whatever. People were like, I wouldn't even pick Fraser McGurk in my first grade side because he can't score runs. And it's true, he wasn't scoring runs. And Australian first grade cricket in Melbourne and in Western Australia and in NSW is hard, man. Some international cricketers go and play second 11 squad cricket sometimes. So it's hard cricket without a doubt. And he was struggling to score. South Australia, worst team in the Sheffield Shield, threw him a left lifeline. Bro went, and his whole career has changed because of that 100 he hit of 29 balls, I think. Crazy knock. A month later, got his first class 100. And he did an interview in cricket.com.au and he said, I kind of looked at myself in the mirror and kind of looked at my career and I kind of decided, well, I'm only going to play the sport for so long. And if I want to play it, I'm going to play it my way or screw it. And this is his way, right? And, he's unapologetic about it. And it's worked. International debut, IPL, T20,
Big
um,
Bash,
Big Bash. And he's
BPL
done well.
someday in the future.
He's And he's done well at the IPL. He's taken on everyone. He's taken on
BPL
Spencer
only for
Johnson.
the Chittagong phase, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. He's taken on Spencer Johnson like crazy. Um, that game where they rolled out GT for like 90 or something. Um, but no, I think he's been exceptional, and I think David Warner is worried he might not actually make it to the World Cup.
That's an interesting case with, trying to
Fra-
Abhishek Porel.
Abhishek Porel's been good too. I think it's interesting that he went from basically batting like 7-8 last season to batting at
specialist
4.
keeper.
Yeah, batting at 4 now, which is pretty good.
And I think it all happened because of that one innings where they just kind of sent him out as a desperate
Hmm,
last hope
hmm,
that give us some runs,
hmm.
impact sub. That was completely, it looked like it was
It
nothing.
was
Just
out of
get
nowhere,
some.
right? That impact sub happened because it happened so early in the game. But Ricky Ponting's a
Bro,
mastermind, bro. Why did you turn off your camera, bro?
bro,
Some
you
nice
look at
guy.
these players, you don't see, I don't know where the strength comes in them. Like it's the same. Like if you compare them with a Bangladeshi batter, like they look the same. I don't know. Like when Abhishek Porel comes down to bat, this guy can hit it big. Like this guy can score quick runs. Like I don't know where it comes from, but they are naturally so talented, or it is the way they're groomed up.
It's a drive.
What
It's a
if what
drive
if
thing.
it's actually there's a what if the actual reason is what Imrul guys figured out a couple of years ago? And what if the MKS is the solution to that reason? That we're not
What
actually getting the best quality bats for the local players in our leagues.
it could be. It
Oh,
could be. It could be.
Rishad got MKS, and now you see.
But Rishad's MKs is actually not MK.
Not MKS. That's like Mushfiqur Rahim's SS.
Look
And
at
then
Rishad still
but
had a fairly good bat by the time he was playing that ODI.
yeah,
One of Mushfiq's bats, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mushfiq's bats. Yeah.
So again,
He
Um,
can say
Mushfiq
with
is
those
going to have
cool
a look.
quips.
but no, I think here's the thing. Do you pick David Warner or do you say McGurk's hot? He's scoring runs. Mitch is hot and cold, but I want to take a chance at the World Cup.
Stiff call.
They have already won enough. They shouldn't mind trying something different.
And
But you've seen
I think
how
this
much
is
the
actually
board
what.
likes David Warner, how much they actually want to back him, regardless of how the whole captaincy thing goes. I know they're not going to make him captain ever again, but other than that, they genuinely do seem to like him kind of. Because
Yeah,
he
yeah.
works as this sort of brand ambassador for them outside of
Outside
Australia.
of Australia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And especially since the sandpaper gate stuff. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And given the fact that there will be games in New York, there will be games in Los Angeles, you kind of need that crowd puller effect, which
yeah, yeah,
Warner
yeah,
has.
yeah. Yeah.
You don't want
It's
people with
I
posters like
think
we miss you, Warner," and stuff like that. Like
we
you
miss you,
don't want
Dhoni.
that when
We
Australia are
miss you.
losing, let's say.
We miss you, Dhoni. We miss you, Warner. Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, Delhi have done a pretty decent job so far. But
Mm-hmm.
what you can say is it's better than what they did last season, but it's still not saying a lot. And with their bowling, was it a mistake for them to let go of Mustafizur after keeping him for 2 seasons when the
Yeah,
Delhi
I
team needed
think
him the most?
Yeah, I think you could say that because it seems like they're short on that overseas bowler category, especially.
To be fair, hindsight is 2020. They didn't predict Lungi and Giri's injury.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But honestly, I think when you put all your eggs in one basket, it kind of hurts you. And I think this is a case of that where they kind of put all their eggs in one basket and they really banked on Nokia and Ngidi injured, Nokia going for runs. Um, they don't probably want to expose Lizard Williams because he doesn't have that much experience, but you kind of also have to. But it's all South African pacers, right? So they don't have variety. End of the day, and with Mustafizur, they had that variety, and I guess letting him go is kind of CSK's gain right now. So, uh, I mean, we can't complain, but DC can because I think for a squad that for 6, 7 years they finished bottom of the table, then they had 3 really good years, and now they've had 3 very years. Especially the last two have been really bad for them, but they did get a run rate boost that game, and they're now sixth on the table. So things can change. I always
Upcoming
believe.
game, that's why the upcoming game is really important for them. The one
Yeah,
against Mumbai, that can
Mumbai.
hugely
Am I
decide
tomorrow, right?
which of the two teams are going to stay alive.
Yeah. And I think Ricky's a mastermind, right? So Ricky's always in the game, no matter
He's
what.
been in that Mumbai setup. He knows that there is
Yeah,
unrest in there.
yeah, exactly. So it will be interesting to see how they handle that. But no, I think DC will definitely. You think they'll have some changes coming in? I guess postseason.
postseason, like after this season, or for this game particularly?
No, no. Like, do you think there's gonna be wholesale changes in this squad?
Oh yes, 100%, 100%. I see that happening. With I see them letting go of Warner, understandably.
Hmm.
Mitchell Marsh as well. Maybe
Yeah.
hold on to Jake.
Yeah.
He's a hot commodity. You want to hold on to
What do
him.
you do with Prithvi Shaw?
That's a very good question. I don't know what to do with Prithvi Shaw in a few hours, let alone next year. He is the most unpredictable cricketer at this point. There is just so much talent, so much potential in there. You genuinely don't know what to
Man,
do with him.
someone who hasn't played top flight cricket consistently comes out for his game, looks absolutely out of this world. The next game looks so stupid. Another 2 games later looks absolutely out of this world. It's so hard to
He can hit
maintain.
any bowler. You can put him in front of Bumrah. He'll have a terrific first over in front of Bumrah, and the next over he'll get out to a no-name bowler. Like,
That day, who was it bowling? I forgot. He hit 16 of the first over and then he got out playing a stupid shot.
it was the game where they were chasing that massive total. I think it was against SRH.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Again, he's been the epitome of disappointment. Someone who hasn't been is Akshar Patel. Uh,
Got
Very
it.
impressive
Bapu.
cricketer overall, Bapu, as they affectionately call him. Him and Rishabh Pant, how important is that particular pair? Or we could add others to it, but that particular pair always ends up deciding the fate of this team.
I think one of the things that they have really done well is use Akshar Patel's batting form from the last 2 years. He got dropped midway through the India England series because of how good Kuldeep was bowling. But you can see that his batting hasn't fallen off, and that chance they took with sending him up the order at number three the last game was a master stroke because it worked out super well. And like I said before, Aksar can still bowl at the pace that he wants to bowl at, and he'll be just fine. And with him and Rishabh kind of there, they're two very different players. Aksar is more by the book, traditional kind of batter who can still be aggressive, whereas Rishabh basically defies all kinds of textbooks out there in batting and does his thing, and he does it super well, without a doubt. And like I said, I think you would agree, Rishabh's kind of solidified his position back in the India setup again, especially through that last game. So yeah, I think in DC where they end up is gonna very much depend on how these two play rest of the season, and I think both of them are probably in for scoring a lot of runs in the next few games.
Impressive season so far for Kuldeep Yadav with 12 wickets in 6 games, economy just over 7.5, and again, pure shot for the World Cup.
Bro, Kuldeep, you just look at him and you can see someone who's smart, someone who's not playing into the modern fad of bowling quick. He's slowed down his bowling exceptionally. He's getting bite of a surface that has no bite, because you know why it is. When you're getting that loop and when you're getting that drop, when I bat, here's the thing. Here's one of the things I'll tell you. When I'm outside the net, I tell everyone, bro, bowlers, spinners in Canada don't spin a ball, which is true. They don't. But when you go into bat and you see someone loop it and you see someone get a drop, you're always thinking it's going to turn, it's going to turn. That's exactly the mindset that Kuldeep uses exceptionally well. Because he gets a loop and he gets a drop, players are thinking, and because he's a wrist spinner, everyone's thinking, which way is it gonna turn? Right? And that's what he uses exceptionally. So whoever his coaches, whoever helped him basically reignite his career, I think kudos to them, because this is a, I think you would agree, this is a wrist spinner at his prime doing the best he can do.
We're only seeing him get better and better with time. Like
Yeah.
that's saying a lot because he was making his international comeback in 2023 or
Yeah.
sorry 2022, and since then he's only gotten better. We don't see that with a lot of cricketers anymore. They don't
Mhm.
keep getting better. They go to their previous best, but he's bettering that, and that
Yeah.
has been so impressive to watch. And we really hope that Delhi has invested a lot in him, and that's why it really feels
Chahal and him to
fair
the
if he
World Cup.
stays.
Yeah.
Hmm? Sorry.
Chahal and him to the World Cup.
Oh boy. See, Chahal's selection is a very different
Some
thing.
bullshit about him not betting.
How ridiculous is that? I'm sorry. What?
How has that affected RR? Tell
How has
me.
that affected any team for that?
Any team for that matter, actually.
I mean, you guys were playing four specialist bowlers at the World
If
Cup.
you
You weren't
if you're
having a
now
problem with
winning with
that.
10 batters, you're not gonna win with 11 batters. Get it in your head, bro.
It's like that's like dropping Bumrah because he can't bat. Like, uh, just
Bullshit.
doesn't make
Bullshit
sense.
reasoning. It's dumb. But I'm glad. I'm glad both of them are doing well because that
Kuldeep is the more
partnership.
sure shot option just because he's been playing for India a lot more regularly than
Yeah,
Yuzvendra. But
Yuzvendra. Yeah.
I would want Yuzi to be there as well. Kulcha would be a very interesting pair to
Yes,
watch,
sir.
especially in
Yes,
the
sir.
slower wickets of the West Indies.
Yes,
They'll be
sir.
very dangerous.
Yes, sir.
Uh, Moving on now, the next team is Chennai Super Kings. First topic, our boy Mustafizur Rahman having a terrible game, and you spoke about Gleason a bit earlier. It's been a while, actually, quite a few minutes, but
Yeah.
wouldn't that be a very interesting like for like? I mean, why play Mustafiz knowing that he's gonna go anyway and he's not in the best of form? Do you not replace him with someone like Richard Gleason?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing with Mustafiz. He is good for one surface, one type of surface, and you can call us negative, you can call us whatever you want to call us, but the reality is the stats are out there, the numbers are out there to show that he hasn't performed in wickets other than the ones where he can get his extra fast cutters to get some grip. But like I mentioned, Richard Gleason took wickets at Taunton. He's taken wickets in small grounds of England where par score was 180, 190. His international cricket first three wickets were, I think, Rahul, Kohli, and Pant, something like that. But more than that, you're losing Mustafiz in 3 games or 3 days, sorry. So, as a franchise, because of the last 3 games, I would say, all right, thank you. You've done your job till now. Whatever you've given us, you've given us. Unfortunately, we have to kind of make a choice for how we want the rest of the season to pan out. And that's okay. That's a professional setting. You kind of have to do that, I think. Mustafiz, in the conditions where he excelled, exceptional. He was really good, obviously unplayable. But I think what's hurt Bangladesh and what's also hurt Chennai Super Kings, and I hoped that this wouldn't happen. I hoped under MS Dhoni, under Stephen Fleming, he would kind of resurrect his career, reignite the spark that he had where he was useful in all conditions. But I think his ability to gather information from his peers, from his coaches, continues to hurt him. If I'm not going too far with this, because I think, and you can chime in, but I think in a season where you've played so many games, yes, he went away for a couple of games here and there, but I think if you haven't gotten better from game to game, and if you haven't learned from the coaching staff that's there, if not now, when?
I don't condone gambling ever under any circumstances, but uh, someone really needs to teach Mustafizur Rahman what a poker face is and why it's important. Because why does his face have such a tell on
Yes,
whether he's
he's
confident about his bowling or not?
pulling
Why?
around. Exactly. Yeah,
I've seen this forever, like
yeah,
maybe since 2017. This has been constant.
yeah.
But other than that, of course, and while that may seem like something silly, but these are the little things that come into play when we're talking about T20 cricket.
Mm-hmm.
Batters like Marcus Stoinis know perfectly well what that face means and
Dinesh Karthik.
what that says about the bowler. Same
Yeah,
with Dinesh Karthik.
yeah.
Uh, But other than that, Mustafizur Rahman, as you said, the right message, it feels like the right message has always been communicated to him. And I don't think it's a language barrier. He understands what he wants to understand, and then he executes what he thinks he can execute. And he stays within his limit, which is
Okay.
becoming a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, yeah,
Bowlers need to
yeah.
adapt, bowlers need to go out of their comfort zone every now and then. He doesn't do that. He doesn't push beyond that. Whether it's for Chennai, whether it's for Bangladesh, whether it's for Kumilla Victorians, doesn't matter. He just doesn't do that anymore, and that is becoming a problem.
Mhm.
Patirana, on the other hand, his Sri Lanka performances just do not mirror his performances for CSK.
It's a different, it's a different beast altogether. Um, what happened to all the wides, the no balls, the down the leg five wides? Where are they? But I think, rather than ridiculing, I think one thing I have to commend Patirana for is I think the way he reads situations in a game. I am very impressed with his ability to read a situation and bowl according to that situation, especially at such a young age. It's not something that you see a lot from players around the world. So Sri Lanka will be hoping that they can get that Patirana to play for them at the World Cup. And I think this is, I really, really hope players who are doing well, players like Patirana, the national boards actually make an effort to communicate with their captains that they're playing under and the coaches that they're playing under and understand what is working for them right now that we can use as information to make them successful for us. There is no harm or no shame in getting that information, I think. uh, Cricket's now grown so much that every individual is different, every coach you run into, every environment you run into is different, and sometimes something works for one person and it doesn't work for the other person. So if you can get that data and if you can set up that environment for your player, by all means please do it.
What else is really going wrong for Chennai? Because
Devon
everyone
Conway.
complains about
Devon
Daryl
Conway.
Mitchell, Devon Conway, of course, him missing, and Daryl Mitchell not performing up to the mark.
Yeah,
Ravindra Jadeja playing uncharacteristically slowly, unfortunately.
yeah,
He's not been all that sharp with the ball either.
yeah,
A bit too much pressure falling on the likes of Shivam Dubey, who's doing exceptionally well, mind you, but
yeah.
feels like he's having to carry the burden of making up for lost overs.
Yeah, I think even in the latest game that they played, Chennai, right? Which was one was it? It was the LSG game, I think, right? But see, when you open with Rahane, like Rahane had a good season, yes, last year, but if he eats up deliveries, and then you have Jadeja eating up deliveries, then you have Mitchell eating up deliveries,
Even Gaikwad isn't playing at his natural pace.
and Guy was not playing at his natural pace. Moin Ali is not doing all that. Why is Moin
Barely
Ali
getting
playing?
chances.
By the way, why is Moin Ali playing if he's not batting top three?
And if he's not bowling his full four,
Like, what is going on?
point.
Um, because if you're going to play Moin Ali and he doesn't bat and he bowls 2 overs, there's no point. Um, the only other thing I can think of is the fact, like you said, the fact that the amount of pressure that is being put on um, Shivam Dubey. I think they're better off almost dropping Mitchell, playing Moin at 3, and playing Samir Rizvi as one of the options in the middle order, just to get some, run making batters in there. Because right now they don't have a run making batter in there. And when you don't have run making batters, it's too much for Dhoni at 42 or whatever he's at right now. And if Shubham Dubey doesn't click, then what happens to the rest of your batting? So I think they just have to take a call on that. And are you surprised Rachin Ravindra has been dropped already?
A little surprised, but it doesn't help that they had a bunch of top order options right there as well. They wanted to try Daryl Mitchell at the top because he's had a good time at the top. If you think about the T20
Yeah,
World Cup in UAE,
yeah,
you consider Moeen Ali top order batter in IPL just because he's had a lot of success batting at number three. It's the same with Rahane and Gaikwad. They're out and out top order batters. So too much competition for that one spot, unfortunately, and that's what led
yeah,
to him getting dropped.
yeah.
Or that's how I see it, at least. Uh, but yeah, it wouldn't hurt to give him a longer rope. Unfortunately, the middle order wasn't backing it up, so they just couldn't take that risk anymore.
I mean, if you spent so much money on Samir Rizvi and he's not playing, it makes no sense to me.
No, no, no. But again, the role that they're giving Samir Rizvi, that
Yeah,
also
at 8.
too much sense.
Freaking IPL this year is actually a joke.
Like, there's some teams that just haven't figured out what to do with this
Yeah,
full impact sub situation.
yeah,
Thakur, like for example, they're using Thakur as an impact sub. We've seen Thakur bat. He's a pretty good batter. Like,
yeah, yeah,
why are you just
100%.
bringing him on to bowl? I get that you don't want Shivam Dubey to be bowling, but Thakur can do both the batting and bowling if required. Why are you using him as the substitute? Doesn't make a lot of sense anyway. I get that their whole idea is we're going to use Rizvi or Thakur depending on the situation, but that doesn't do you any favor. That doesn't instill any confidence in Rizvi. And
Yeah.
even if he comes in suddenly when you have 4 or 5 quick wickets falling, there's nothing he can do. He's not going to rescue you from that situation as an impact sub. That just doesn't work, unfortunately.
And Thakur's stocks have fallen off in the last, I don't know, little bit, right? He's not,
Absolutely.
yeah. So if you're hoping him to, I don't know, resurrect you
Contribute.
from, yeah, it's not going to happen.
If anything, the way I see it, if you want Thakur to contribute and justify his price tag, because he's always going to have that heavy price tag on him, you might as well trust Thakur the all-rounder a bit. That's what KKR
Yeah,
did, and he did win them a game with his batting, by the
yeah,
way. So if
yeah.
Chennai could show that trust in Thakur, that's a
That
player
it,
that
it
they have basically invested a lot in. That's a player that Dhoni has brought the best out of in the 4 years that he played for
mhm,
CSK.
yeah,
I'm sure they could do better with him.
yeah.
All right, LSG.
Um,
LSG next.
honestly, I think Lucknow has really impressed me in that last game versus CSK. I actually didn't think they had it in them to get that total, especially because of how hot and cold Mr. Fashionable Marcus Stoinis is. But I think they've shown it that they are more than capable, and for a team that's number 4 right now on the table, or 5, 4, I think, right?
Four.
Yeah, 4 on the table. I'm actually surprised they've kind of like gone under the radar in some sense till now, because everyone's been worried about Mumbai, Chennai, etc., etc. But they've given it to CSK 2 games back to back, complete drubbing, right? So it's good to see that, and I think um, Quinton's coming back to form. KL's batting quicker. Um, Huran had a really good interview in the not interview talk in the team. They released a video where he kind of said, we're a better team than this. we've had two games back to back where we've trounced the defending champions. So let's start playing like we actually want to be here. So I think it's really good to see from one of your overseas players to come out and do that in a team setting.
The vice captain, and he's taking up that leadership
That
position.
leadership, exactly. And I think Badoni's got a 50 in the middle one game. Dipakuda is there and thereabouts. I think
Deepak Huda's contribution in that CSK game was
it was
incredible. I did not
incredible.
see that coming.
No, and I think the thing with Deepak Huda is I think Justin Langer's changing his batting a little, so it's it's a weird time for him because he actually has T20 100 for India, I think.
Yeah, he does
Uh,
against Ireland.
right, right. But more than that, I think it's just he's in a weird spot where he's kind of getting his batting back in place, plus he's trying to contribute. So there were a couple of games where he didn't really do well, but then that last CSK game, got like I don't know 17 or 20. That really made a difference because
Under pressure,
yeah,
supporting
support
Stoinis. He made Stoinis' role a
a
lot easier.
lot easier exactly. So yeah, so it's good to see. I think their team's coming along really well. You have Mohsin Khan who's delivering again every another year. He's just delivering really well. Um,
Missed out in the 2023 season, I think.
yeah, Mr. Well, he was injured like last
He was
moment or
injured.
something, right? Yeah. And what do you do about Padikal?
Oh boy, probably bench him.
Yeah, I think
Unless you can just make it work, unless you can actually find a way to make that anchor role work, you need someone to just play out those
how
deliveries
did he go
so
from
that Nicholas
opener to
Puran,
number four?
he had to. I think it was just adopting to survive, sort of, because teams want the more aggressive batters at the power play. They'd rather have someone to hold the fort if they lose wickets rather than
Yeah,
have a slow player batting from the start.
yeah,
That is the issue. It's the same. It's probably one of the same reasons why Gaikwad was batting at number three in the middle for a few games, because
yeah,
they were like, if you're gonna be slow, then you be slow at number three. You be
yeah,
slow when we lose a wicket. We want
yeah.
Rahane and Rachin to go out there and attack from ball one, which obviously
Yes,
didn't
sir.
work because Rahane is not that sort of a player anymore. He had that 2023 season, sure, but we know that that's not Rahane's natural game
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah, yeah. No, 100%.
But with the whole particle thing, I think they can actually make it work if that's what Nicholas Puran wants. Because if
Yeah,
Nicholas Puran doesn't want to come out at 35 for 2, but he's more comfortable coming in at 50 for 3 if they have fewer balls remaining and all he has to do is go out there and swing his bat and
yeah.
it comes off, then
Then they
he
might
can
as
make it
well,
work.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I've
Yeah,
seen players do that. We've seen
yeah,
Andre Russell do that with
exactly.
someone like Robbie Notapa. Even when he
Yeah,
was completely out of form, they were like, okay, go out there and play with 10 deliveries, get 5 runs. It's fine. Just
yeah,
play those 10 deliveries so that Russell
yeah,
knows what to do. He can get
exactly.
80 of 30 balls. That's fine. But he
It
doesn't
just
need
sets
to
up
go out
for
there and
your
get
more
50 of 100.
explosive players. Yeah, exactly. No, 100%. I agree with that. I,
It's not the best strategy, but it's a strategy that a lot of the West Indian players seem to prefer.
it, it, it works when you can make it work.
Absolutely. And they're one of the few
Exactly.
groups
Yeah.
of cricketers who can actually make it work.
You might look at the number of dot balls after the game and be like, what the hell, that too many dot balls and these guys still scored that many runs. But yeah, I mean, if you put it in perspective, it works when you can make it work.
And I think the move of Stoinis at 3 is a brave move, and they've
Yeah.
made it work pretty well.
Yes, sir. Agreed. Yeah.
Because if this was RCB, we'd be saying, "Oh, this is very top heavy." And if you think about it, all four of their top order
Top of
batters
the
have
better.
played for RCB.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can easily say that, okay, no, this is very top heavy. What are they
Quinton,
actually doing?
KL, Puran, and
Padikkal.
Puran and Padikal. Yeah.
No, not
Crazy. Oh
Puran.
no,
Quinton,
Stoinis and
KL,
Padikal.
Stoinis, and Padikkal. Yeah,
Padikal. Yeah. Crazy.
oh, crazy, absolutely crazy. But they've made it work, and I think, and look, and I might receive some flag. I won't receive any flag because no one watches this. Who's going to watch this 2 hour long video anyway?
Yeah.
Krunal Pandya is not as bad as people make him sound. I've
Actually, he's
said it.
not. And
He's not.
Sanjay Manjrekar picked him in his T20 World Cup squad.
Oh, Sanjay Manjrekar, we can ignore that guy. But in all seriousness, I mean, that's the best thing. Krunal Pandya, the one thing about Krunal Pandya is
Yeah.
ever since the impact rule came in, it didn't change any part of his game. Similar
No,
to Akshar Patel or Ravindra Jadeja, but they were the more established cricketers doing better than him at the time.
his hair just
He didn't
got
change
bigger.
his game
That's it.
according to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he bowled as many overs as he had to. He batted just the way the team needed him to bat.
yeah,
It didn't always come off. He wasn't as good as those other guys that I just mentioned. He's not as good as his brother in terms of raw talent or skill, but
yeah.
he's there and he's a complete team man in my opinion. And he made a lot of the things easier for Lucknow in terms of bridging that
Mm-hmm.
heavy top order with
Yeah,
the
with
likes of
the
someone
luck.
like Badoni in the middle or Huda in the middle, and then going into the bowlers like Bishnoi or Yash Thakur and the others.
Agreed. Yeah, yeah. And I think what early on in the season they had a collapse in the middle order, and then he took the responsibilities and he scored 40 plus in the lower order or something, and that really helped them against Punjab or someone who was it against? I think it was against
I
Punjab.
like how no one mentions, like, I don't like it. Like, I like it in a ridiculous way that no one mentions that KL Rahul got injured. Mohsin Khan got injured last minute, as you said. KL Rahul in the middle of the season. And Krunal took over captaincy. His
Captaincy.
performance wasn't the best, but he put himself out there in difficult situations and
Yeah.
he led them to the semifinals. Sorry,
Yes.
the qualifiers.
Qualifiers. Yeah.
No one says that. No one mentions a thing about that.
Everyone's worried about Hardik Pandya. No, but I think Krunal's also humbled down since his incident with Deepak Huda, where they wanted to basically kill each other, kind of situation. But yeah, now they're playing for the same team. But I think more than that, he's kind of humbled down since that incident because he's realized that I'm ruining my own reputation, being this brat or being this rude guy, and he got married and everything. He has a kid, I think.
And his
uh,
brother still makes that reputation work for him.
for him,
Krunal
exactly.
doesn't. It doesn't
Doesn't.
work for Krunal. His
Yeah, exactly.
performances doesn't back that up.
Exactly. So yeah, no, good to see. I think Ronaldo still keeping himself relevant in the mix. What 3 years after he played his last international game? But yeah, Kunal Pandya for the World Cup. Sanjay Manjrekar be smoking.
Let's move on to our top three now. Who is number three now? There is a bit of musical chairs going on because the top teams are losing. So right now, just to maintain the order, number three is still SRH. Fantastic season for them, and they've been very anti SRH in a sense that SRH have always preferred to be a bowling heavy side. This
Yeah,
season has been very different, hasn't it? They've been the
yeah.
trendsetters for it.
That South African top order has changed their game, and since Travis Head came into the mix, it changed it even more. You got Markram, Klassen, Head, Abhishek Sharma, four very, very aggressive players. And yeah, it's worked for them heaps. And then they also have Samad at the bottom there coming in, cut some games and really going off. So yeah, I think SRH. I always said this in the last 2 years, especially because if Sunrisers Eastern Cape is winning SAT&T, why is the Sunrisers Hyderabad franchise not winning anything? I was skeptical about Aidan Markram not being captain, and I think everyone's been proven wrong about that because Pat Cummins has stood up, done his role as captain, as bowler, as batter, as fielder exceptionally well. He's managed a team of very aggressive and out there players exceptionally well. So it's really good to see that from Pat Cummins. I think everyone thought he wasn't a confirmed pick in the World Cup in the lineup, but he's shown that he means business here. So yeah, good to see that.
KKR, their bowling has been very, very concerning. The batting, near perfect right now. Some things to tweak, some things to change, but they can make it work. The bowling just hasn't been.
Can someone ask Sunil Narayan why he's chucking? Mm, can someone find out? But more than that, I think no, Kolkata's master stroke of bringing Narayan back at the top order, I think, has worked again um, this season, which is crazy because I actually didn't think that was possible, given you know um, his history in the last 2 years or 3 years maybe, where he kind of fell off again as that opener role, and everyone was thinking Narayan as opener is washed, but clearly not. And I have been very, very impressed with Ankush Raghuvanshi. Freaking guy's 18. I thought he played this under 19 World Cup, but actually he played the under 19 World Cup before that, which is crazy because if you think about it, he was probably 16 at the time, and he's been picked up this year. And oh yeah, I mean, free flowing, very unapologetic, very out there kind of a young kid, Gen Z kid. But he's really helped them set that tone, and Russell and Shreyas Iyer have really flourished because he's been that little, transition player in the middle between their top order and middle order. And yeah, I think that boarding order is obviously done well. And if you think about it, in terms of names, that batting order doesn't have the names that RCB does, and in that batting order, that team's still doing 10 times better than them. So that is that for you in context. And Phil Saul's batting like Toy these days. I'm dead ass. I'm pretty sure he looked at Toy and he went, I need to do that. I know why this guy's scoring runs. There is no other reasoning because he was here. He's gone full Toy He's like, yeah. Anyways, it's good to see
Kind of
Bangladesh
gets a
player.
bit of a baseball swing for him, even more so than Tohit Ridoy, because
Yeah,
it seems to come more naturally to him than
more
straight
naturally
off
to
the bat.
him. Yeah. But yeah, I think their bowling is spin attack.
But how ridiculous is that? Like someone like Varun Chakravarti, like, the way he's bowling, this isn't
Bro, they
spin
just both
bowling.
throwdowns. They literally both throwdowns. Straight throwdowns. Down the pitch, please hit me wherever you may choose.
And KKR has this strange love for these. I'm
Mystery
sorry to use
swing.
this term, but
Remember
gimmicky
that tape ball?
cricketers.
Yeah. Remember that tape ball bowler that they picked?
Oh my goodness,
Ramesh,
gimmicky cricketers. That
Ramesh
is what they
something.
like. I'm sorry, even Venkatesh Iyer fits that
Ramesh
bill.
Jalalabadi. That was his name.
They picked him out of Instagram, literally.
Yes. Yeah.
How ridiculous is that? But again, this whole gimmicky cricketer trope, it needs to stop at
It
one
needs to
point.
stop. Exactly. Like, it's not going to serve you. It's not going to serve you.
It worked when Sunil Narayan was the only one doing it, and everyone around him was super
And before
orthodox.
that, the Ajanta Mendes did it for a bit. That's it.
And it didn't even work with Ajanta Mendes, but he tried. At least they tried.
Yeah, exactly.
With KKR, okay, I think that's the disappointing part. It's not that they're losing that's disappointing. It's the way they're losing, the way their bowlers are performing.
Yeah, I
Just
mean,
going to
after
address
so
the whole
many runs,
Jamira Stark thing. What do you do now? Like, do you give Jamira another go? Do you wait for Stark to quote unquote recover from his finger injury, or what do you
is
do?
he actually injured?
I don't know. If I saw a surface like that, I'd be injured too, to be honest.
Bro, if I was getting hit the way he was getting hit, I would be like, bro, I am injured, bro. I got stress fracture, I got muscle pulls, I got everything going on right now. But no, jokes aside, I think you give Chamira another game, no? Stark hasn't done exceptionally well that he deserves his place back. Chamir's only played one game. You kind of give him one more game and see where he goes. And if he doesn't, maybe he can go back to Stark. But I think this is also signs of what's to come at the World Cup. People are going to be taking on Stark, I think. Because with
And I
Hazelwood,
don't
with
think Australia would even be all that
Cummins,
worried because Stark doesn't play that integral role in
yeah,
the T20 setup.
yeah,
He hasn't
that's
for years.
yes, and yeah. Because I think who are they gonna play? They'll probably play Cummins, Hazelwood, and Spencer or Ellis or someone like that. Yeah.
What's the next topic that we should move on to? Rajasthan Royals.
Yes, sir.
And that's our
They're
final
win.
topic for the IPL part. Uh, Almost perfect season. And now you see why they invested so much in someone like Riyan Parag, or why they built it, why it almost felt like they built a team around him, because this is what happens when he performs.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Riyan Parag, like we said at the start of the show, if anyone's ridiculed them, it's everyone around this world who's ridiculed them for picking and trusting Riyan Parag. But I think when you look at Kumar Sangakkara and the reputation he comes with, and you look at the kind of investments they have made as a franchise in their infrastructure and everything, you understand why they have banked on Riyan Parag. And I think the kind of narrative that they put out there every year that this is going to be a big year for Riyan Parag, this is going to be the year that he comes up. It always built that confidence in him, but I think this is the year where they really took it to the next level and allowed him to excel in that number four position that he does it for Assam day in and day out. You give players their position, you give players what they're comfortable with. More often than not, they excel, and I think they've gone away after last season and decided that we are gonna do that. Uh, and yeah, I mean, he doesn't even bowl anymore, but he's exceptional as a batsman, and I think with what Jaswal, Butler, Parag, that is a very scary batting lineup.
With the top three, given that Parag is performing now, with the top three, do you see it sort of like a musical chair in a sense that you can have Jaiswal, Butler, Samson performing on alternate days? You really don't need
Hmm.
them to be super consistent and performing every day. You don't need any of them to be that, as long as they're all having a fairly good season and performing when the other doesn't.
Yeah, because think about it this way. You know how we talked about that opener getting 30 out of 18 and doesn't need to bat through? Well, if all of them, one guy out of the four has a good day and the others come off with 30 of 18, that's it. You're winning most games without a doubt, right? And Samson, I think he's in the reckoning for a World Cup spot right now. If you ask me, because he's done well and he's captained well. He's batted exceptionally well this IPL. He might not have the big runs to show for it, but he's played impactful innings. And I think more than consistent innings, he needs. I think those impactful innings mean a lot more, and that shows that why they're number one. I think Rajasthan's winning this IPL.
Is there a fear of them choking at the end?
I don't think so. I don't think it's happening this year. I think they're going to take it the whole way this year.
Impressed with Sandeep Sharma and him
Bro,
still
Sandeep
keeping
Sharma
himself
goaded.
very relevant?
Goated Sandeep Sharma. I actually think like for someone who wasn't picked in the auction, had no chance of coming into the IPL, and then basically gets thrown a lifeline at the 11th hour. Uh, everyone thinks about, oh, we need this express pace, we need this, that, etc., etc. Well, he has shown you don't need any of that if you have the kind of accuracy, the kind of skill that he possesses. And that ball to Ishan Kishan last game, crazy, crazy. But no, I think um, he was gone in the middle for a couple of games. I think he got injured, and it changed the combination of their team massively. But as soon as he came back, look at that squad. It looks so much better, and especially I think when you have Chahal, Ashwin's going for a bit, and Avesh is Avesh. But when you have Bolt and Sandeep opening and giving you that impetus at the top, it's a whole different game.
just looking at their bowling options, of course, they can bring Burger in for some contribution if they think that they need someone like that.
I think he got
But
injured in the middle too. Like he got some nickel
yeah,
or something. Yeah.
the problem is their only specialist spin bowler, I think, is Abid Mushtaq. Only
Yeah.
local
The
specialist
J
spin
and
bowler
K.
is
He's from Jammu and Kashmir. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
exactly. And you
So
wouldn't want someone like him suddenly replacing Ashwin, let's say,
yeah,
nor would you be super comfortable replacing Ashwin with Maharaj, even though Maharaj is much more experienced and
Maharaj had a
established.
good game
He's
in
a
the
foreign
middle.
player.
Yeah,
Yeah, but he's an overseas player.
yeah,
You don't want to
exactly.
waste a slot on an overseas spinner when you
Yeah,
already have Ashwin and
Ashwin.
Chahal in the same
Yeah,
11.
yeah,
So is that a bit of a concern that you can't really replace Ashwin, so you desperately need him to be back in form?
yeah. I think, and Ashwin, he can bat in multiple positions in that lineup, right? So you kind of need him to click because he is an integral part of your lineup. End of the day, whether you accept it or not. And I think that's where Ashwin has to kind of. He's a smart cricketer, so I don't know why he's bowling as quickly as he is, but he needs to just reflect and understand that this is a very different IPL, and I can be a lot more effective doing what I was doing maybe 8 years ago. So it's just those little things because that will really make a difference.
Something I just wanted to point out, which I am now forgetting because it's late at night.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
uh, Dhruv Jurel disappointed, and I mean probably the only real place of concern or disappointment from a Rajasthan Royals point of view, just because they've invested a lot in him, and he was sort of a brand ambassador for the success of an IPL franchise being successful at an IPL franchise and then repeating it at a
Hmm.
different level in international cricket.
Yep. I think it's second season syndrome. you know, you have a one really good season, you carry that onto international cricket, everyone's going crazy about you. You have a really good top four that excels most games. Now all of a sudden you're not getting the kind of batting time you were getting last season when you came in as an impact player. A lot of things have changed, and he's kind of feeling like when he goes out there, he needs to have an impact from ball one. And that second season syndrome is coming in where as much as he tries, it's just hurting him a little more. But I think RR is one of those franchises that stick to their players no matter what. So I hope, just because he has a kind of a lukewarm season, I hope they don't do away with him, or they think that this investment's not worth it because if he's done it in Test cricket, I'm pretty sure he can do it in T20 cricket, T20 cricket.
That's pretty much the entire Rajasthan team covered. Again, near perfect, and the only thing they'll be concerned about right now is probably just not choking at the
Yeah,
last end of the tournament.
yeah,
Thank you, Fardin. We've wrapped up the IPL. Let's quickly go over the Pakistan New Zealand series. We wouldn't have a lot to talk about the series had Pakistan won the series predictably, but that didn't happen, of course.
yeah. I
Let's
mean,
start with Mohammad Amir's comeback first, real quick.
very happy with it. I think he's looked really good. Never looked like he actually left. Came back. He's actually executed his different skills really well, which is good to see. And he had that performance in the PSL. He would have come into an environment knowing he talked a lot of shit on TV about these guys. So it was an interesting environment to come in at. But I think everyone's accepted him with pretty much open arms from what it looks like. And yeah, both him and Imad Wasim have looked like they belong more than some other people, which is interesting because they have been away from the scene longer than them.
How bad was this decision from Usman Khan? And I'm not even saying it in hindsight, but to really think that you can just make franchise form work. Like,
That it's so stupid. In any case, in any situation, when Emirates Cricket Board was ready to give up everything for this guy, They were carrying him around when he was literally just a worker in their country. In all, by all means, his status was just a worker in their country. He had a work visa. All he had to do was just trust the process of Emirates Cricket Board and hope that UAE makes it to the next T20 World Cup, UAE makes it to the next ODI World Cup, and he will get his chance at the limelight. But I think greed is man's biggest enemy, human's biggest enemy. He got greedy without a doubt. That PSL success, what, 500 runs almost. He got greedy. He thought this is my ticket to the big show at the smallest amount of time because the World Cup is right there. They have to pick
Or
me.
a much more established team.
Yeah, exactly. New Zealand C team bowlers have found you out, or B team bowlers have found you out. So, and New Zealand's a team that comes with a lot of preparation. Look at the way they have adjusted to the conditions from the first game to the fourth game. Mark Chapman batting like freaking he has this track in his backyard in Auckland, right? But no, I'm very disappointed Usman Khan's done this because now he's gonna be limited to what he can play. He was improving his cricket from the time he came in the BPL last year to whatever he was playing right now in this PSL. He improved a lot as a player, and that is due to the kind of exposure that he was getting because of his contract with Emirates Cricket Board, which allowed him to play anywhere and everywhere. Pakistan only allows you two leagues, and one of them is PSL. So, bad decision, very bad decision indeed.
But bigger concern perhaps for Pakistan is they can drop from Pakistan's point of view, they can just drop Usman Khan. That's fine. But uh, bigger concern would be Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan hitting an all-time low in terms of their T20 form.
Yeah, I said this in one of the recent articles I wrote. You can't play both of them together. You just can't because they're not up to the kind of speed that you want them to be at. One of my friends today told me that Rizwan's actually way more consistent than Babar, and he's actually contributed way more than Babar in some situations, which may be true. But here's the thing: if he's batting 19 of 17, 19 of 16, it's not helping anyone. And the kind of batting they did in Australia in 2022, in a year and a half, I'm telling you, in a year and a half, the game's changed a lot. It's not going to work anymore. Then you might as well bring back Shan Masood because he got a 50 in that final semi-final, right? Like it's just not going to work. And Irfan Khan, look at debut series. Look at the way he's batted. Sam Ayub, Fakar Zaman coming back after so long. You know, first
Fakhar
game.
Zaman's been around though.
No, no, no. I mean, in the recent past, I think he got dropped or he got injured, something like that.
He was
Uh,
in the T20 setup as well for the New Zealand series. So he basically
yeah,
played
yeah,
the last
yeah.
two T20
Last two,
series.
yeah, yeah. But he didn't play the start of this series, right? He didn't start in this series. I'm pretty
No, no,
sure.
no. I don't think he started.
Yeah, yeah. He didn't start in this series.
And then
So
what's more important is in between he had that terrible PSL for Lahore.
yes, yes, and they still obviously you have to kind of persist with Fakir Zaman, but yeah, they dropped Rizwan last game. Fakir Zaman played instant impact, freaking highest run scorer at a pace. But I think when Azam Khan comes back, you have to play Azam Khan. At least give him a chance. In case if I mean I don't even know if they have any series before the World Cup, and if they don't, then maybe Azam Khan doesn't even make it to the World Cup, which is gonna be a shame because Azam Khan's done really well at the CPL. He did well in Canada. He kind of knows these conditions, and you can tell that Azam Khan hasn't really set the world alight in international cricket, but I'm a big believer in impact players, impact guys, not the impact player system in the IPL, but impact guys. And I think Azam Khan's a an impact guy who can really, on his day, make it happen. And we saw that in the PSL semifinal or final or something like that, where he scored that 39 or something like that.
And you can forget the CPL is a tournament he's actually done really well in.
Exactly, and that's where you're going to be playing, right? So, yeah, they just have to. I think here's the thing: they have to tell Babar and Rizwan either you catch up or you pack it up, and it makes no sense. I think this captaincy switch was unwarranted. It's created maybe some kind of a friction division, whatever it is, um, because I mean, if you and I played for the same team and you got appointed captain, and all of a sudden after one series they give it back to me after I literally lost every series on the last three, four. Pakistan's lost 10 of their last 15 games. So it's again, like I said, in subcontinent we don't know how to handle situations, and this is a clear definition of that.
Chapman, if we talk about New Zealand's perspective now, Chapman's been a regular in the T20 setup and he's been performing regularly for them. On the other hand, most of the other cricketers, other than Finn Allen himself didn't play too many of the games because he's injured, weren't exactly the typical regulars that we get to see. Michael Bracewell kind of making his comeback after a fairly long injury.
Yeah.
Who's impressed you the most, and who do you think is going to get that basically the shortcut ticket to the World Cup, if anyone?
Tim Robinson, done. He came in with this reputation after the Super Smash that this guy's, he hits the ball hard, etc., etc. I think if Conway is not playing, he's going to the World Cup, right? If Conway doesn't play, they're taking him. They're gonna let him open with Finn Allen if Rachin doesn't play, and kind of go from there. Will O'Rourke, honestly, Will O'Rourke, when he first played against Bangladesh, I thought, not really, not there. And then he played again, and I was like, okay, never mind. And now I'm seeing it in this series, and I'm like, okay, this guy's actually like, I can see why New Zealand brought him on at the age of 22. It makes a lot of sense. So I'm really impressed with Will O'Rourke and Tim Robinson. Jacob Duffy's been in and around, but yeah, those two guys. What about you?
It's pretty much just Tim Robinson right now who's screaming for a selection. But I'm thinking Bracewell has had a pretty good opportunity as well. Still two more games to go. I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind him kind of shoehorning his way back into the T20
I
setup
mean,
because now you
he was a confirmed pick, right, for
right.
2023 World Cup. It's just that injury came at the worst time because he was having such a good year in international cricket, and then
No, it'll
RCB
be
dropped
very
him.
interesting, honestly. Like just to have someone can become unplayable in the slowish West Indian conditions that we're predicting.
Yeah,
So you never know.
yeah, it might bounce, it might grip, it might turn.
And not to mention his batting is also, but
Yeah,
the best part about Michael Bracewell is his batting becomes more useful in conditions where his bowling is
bowling
super
is
sharp.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and I think as a captain, he's led this squad well, which is a very inexperienced squad, and he's just let them get adjusted to the conditions really well, which has helped them, have an unassailable lead at this point. I guess my last question is, where do you see Jimmy Neesham in terms of the World Cup squad?
I really hope he's there. I mean, Jimmy's
Yeah,
Jimmy, right? Like
Jimmy's
not
Jimmy.
having him would feel weird.
Everyone was talking about, oh, last over he's gonna give all the runs. Usama Mir, first ball got a better of him, but the Yorker was so good, bro, crazy. But yeah, I think Nisham still has some cricket left in him. So I think
Maybe
he'll be
it
good.
could just be his swan song
Song,
for all
song,
we know,
yeah,
but
for yeah,
let's give him that
yeah.
opportunity to make his swan song
So
his own.
yeah,
And one last thing. Uh, do you see Mohammad Haris kind of making his way and becoming a first choice keeper in this Pakistan setup all of a
I
sudden?
wouldn't mind it. I actually wouldn't mind it. I don't even know why he's not in the squad right now.
Same.
Him and Abdullah Shafiq, where are they?
I mean, I
Because
get that they don't want Abdullah Shafiq again because they've had trouble with his T20 form, even though he
yeah,
got a
yeah,
very
but
brief stint in
brief,
T20
yeah,
ice.
yeah. Yeah. But I think, do Pakistan have any other series after this?
They do. They have another against England.
Hmm.
We don't know
How the,
what the strength of the English team touring them will be, but they do have a series against England.
I wonder if they will give Haris and Abdullah Shafiq a chance. Because if they do, I think if Haris plays, he has a good tour. He's going to the World Cup ahead of Rizwan, and Rizwan's going to be backup, or it
I
might
mean,
even be that Azam Khan's backup.
it could be.
It could be.
You consider the form and everything, and you
Yeah.
know that Haris is also a very good fielder in the outfield,
Outfield, exactly.
which Azam Khan unfortunately isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But so
that's going to
yeah.
be an adjustment.
But I'm telling you, hard calls have to be made because if you go into a World Cup with a squad like this that's middling, you're not gonna win many games. You're gonna look stupid in front of 34,000 in New York, and you'll definitely look stupid in West Indies.
We're even expecting a possible upset from Ireland. It wouldn't be the first time
Yeah,
Ireland have knocked
exactly. Yes, sir.
Pakistan
Yes,
out.
sir. Yes, sir. That's on the card.
Farzin, thank you very much. Very long discussion, and I guess it was warranted because we came back after a bit of
After
a
so
break.
long. Yeah, exactly.
And
No, but
to
yeah,
all our viewers as well, hope more people do find time to watch this one.
yeah,
And until next time, stay tuned to Baghdad, and we'll hopefully be back mm, soon with the third episode of Jata. By then,
exactly.
Bangladesh will also have started their series, I guess. You want to say
The,
something
the, the,
special?
the ashes of Bangladesh cricket versus Zimbabwe.
Anyways,
Uh,
goodbye and good night.
Goodbye.
Thank